So someone really is going to marry Miss Leylading after all. It's good to have a duke backing you. Otherwise, who would ever accept a proposal like that? To a mixed-blood bastard like her. A maid carrying a tray walked into the ladies' room. The hot water you asked for has arrived. She spoke again. My lady, I said the hot water is here. Why are you holding cosmetics? Do you need me to touch up your makeup? Rosanna sat at the dressing table. Ah, no need. The maid slammed the cup down on the table. I went to all the trouble of bringing you this water, so you'd better drink it. Warm water is hard enough to come by as it is, so you have to finish every last drop. Rosanna reached out to take it. Ah, thank you. The moment her fingertips touched it, it's scalding. She jerked her hand back. Boiling water splashed everywhere. The maid screamed in panic. Miss, how could you? I almost got burned. Another maid hurried over. You should have been more careful. Honestly, Rosanna remained seated and said, give me the mirror. Didn't you say you hated it? But today is your wedding day, after all. The dressing table is right over there. Rosanna slowly walked toward the dressing table. Her footsteps echoed through the room. She raised a hand toward the mirror. Her face was reflected back at her. Blonde hair, blue eyes, dressed as a bride. It all felt so unreal. She suddenly grabbed her head, letting out a pained cry. The maids immediately crowded around her. Miss, you don't have time to rest. It's about to begin. There are no swords here. No corpses. What? Rosanna shook her head. No, it's nothing. A smile spread across her face. The maids whispered among themselves from afar. What's wrong with her? No idea. Maybe she's gone mad before the wedding. Rosanna looked up and pointed at one of them. You. The maid froze. Yes. Rosanna gave the order. Open the door. The Duke is here. The maids looked troubled. What are you talking about? Why would the Duke suddenly come here? Should I really listen to her? Another maid whispered, just do what she says, even if she's an illegitimate daughter. The door slowly opened. A man in formal attire walked in. Rosanna. He looked at her, his voice low. Have you been crying? The Duke spoke coldly. Your makeup is ruined. The wedding is about to start. Go fix it at once. Yes, Duke. He suddenly lifted his hand. Duke, you've aged a lot. The Duke's expression instantly froze. What? Rosanna looked him straight in the eye. Sorry, but today's schedule needs to change. He demanded sharply. Rosanna, what do you mean by this? Rosanna's gaze was calm and firm. When the war ended and peace came to the Empire, I had to return once more to endless darkness. A hollow existence that could not even leave behind a name. War and darkness repeated again and again. That weary life was to be sealed away once more. I wanted to stop that endless cycle. To tell the truth, I longed for freedom. I wanted to feel more of the lazy wind brushing through my hair. Even the charred smell of all things burned to ashes. I wanted to feel more of it. She closed her eyes, sinking into the freedom of her imagination. Her body was swallowed by dazzling light, but it was only an unreachable dream. I was sealed once more in profound darkness. Who knew how much time passed? Then I awoke again. But this time, something was different. Rosanna suddenly opened her eyes. Before her was a splendid room, a place with no screams to hear and no blood to smell. I never expected the seal to break in such a peaceful place. She looked at herself in the mirror. An unfamiliar body, blonde hair, blue eyes, and an elegant gown. A sharp pain struck her, a kind of pain she had never known before. The memories of this body flooded into her mind. The owner of this body was named Rosanna Leylading, the only daughter of an Imperial Duke, a life steeped in misfortune. Her commoner mother abandoned her. The Duke took her in, but never gave her any affection. Longing all her life for the Duke's love, Rosanna chose a political marriage just to prove her worth. The Duke knew full well that this marriage was a cliff's edge, yet he never stopped her. This body's final memory was collapsing from difficulty breathing. Perhaps even her soul had shattered along with her, and she actually called that fool father. Even in her last moments, she still longed to be loved. Rosanna's eyes turned cold. Duke, did you not hear me? Today's wedding is canceled. My fiance, the Marquis of Vigilia, is a pervert, and I do not like perverts. So I will personally explain the situation to the Marquis. The Duke roared, Rosanna, what nonsense are you spouting? He suddenly grabbed Rosanna by the shoulders, his grip so strong that she cried out. What? Why does it hurt? The Duke looked disdainful. I hardly used any strength. Don't make a fuss over nothing. A glint of chill flashed in Rosanna's blue eyes. Duke, your hand. He answered arrogantly. What? Rosanna, you've been awfully insolent since earlier. Can't you endure even this much? Rosanna cut him off. Today's wedding is to strengthen the position of the Duke's house, isn't it? You were the one who proposed this alliance. Rosanna's voice was calm and powerful. Yes, but weren't you the one who pushed me toward the cliff? Duke, from now on, don't think you can keep treating me like your convenient tool. Violet flames ignited in Rosanna's blue eyes. Watching someone walk to their death and refusing to help is no different from murder. If a marriage alliance is so necessary, then you should go yourself. You still look quite young. The Duke's face twisted with rage. Rosanna shook off his hand, turned, and walked away, leaving only a resolute back behind. You should have understood by now. He had always been frighteningly shrewd. Looking at the Duke's face, it seemed I had been sealed for about 10 years. Back then, I'd never heard anything about the Duke having an illegitimate daughter. It seems Rosanna's bloodline was only revealed after I was sealed, and only then was she accepted by the family. Judging from the Duke's reaction, my power seems very similar to his. Rosanna walked alone through the glittering corridor. His body's defense seems weaker. Whether it was the scalding water or the Duke's grip, both caused me pain. I need to sort out my thoughts first and understand the current situation. I can't let this hard-won freedom be buried by a marriage. Rosanna stopped and looked out the window. Sunlight streamed through the glass and fell over blooming flowers. The world. Countless colors were reflected in her blue eyes. So the world is this colorful. Child, in such a beautiful world, how lonely you must have been. Rosanna hugged herself tightly. From now on, I will love you properly. She took a deep breath, trying to calm her stirred emotions. I can't cry every time I see something beautiful. First, I need to meet that young Marquis. Canceling the wedding is the most urgent matter. In a wedding hall, music drifted softly through the air. Guests chatted in small groups. One noblewoman whispered, "This is dreadful. They decorated the wedding hall like this? Barely any flowers, and even the chandelier looks half broken." Another noblewoman chimed in. "Even if she is mixed blood, she's still the Duke's daughter. Does this wedding even have any meaning?" A dark-haired woman cut in with a sneer. "What matters is that Duke Leylading's family and the Marquis of Zizalia's family are joining hands." Exactly. Everyone came here only to curry favor with the Duke. A stir suddenly rippled through the crowd. "Who's that rude? My goodness, the young lady has arrived." Rosanna appeared before everyone. She wore a white dress, her golden hair cascading down, her blue eyes slightly red. Good heavens, her eyes looked swollen from crying. How pitiful. But Rosanna ignored the whispers. She lifted her head and gazed upward, deeply captivated by the scene before her. Such wonderful music. The gems on the chandelier are as beautiful as stars, and the fragrance of flowers carries the breath of life. Everyone looks so happy. In this child's memories, everyone had always seemed hostile, but at least today, they appear to have sincerely come to offer congratulations. The corner of Rosanna's mouth lifted slightly. It's a good thing I came here before seeing the Marquis. Even if the wedding is canceled, I should still express my gratitude. Rosanna walked to the center of the crowd, her voice clear. To be welcomed in such a splendid and beautiful hall is something I will never forget. The guests looked at one another. Never forget? Miss, what do you mean by that? What's with her tone? Has she gone mad before the wedding? Rosanna looked around at them all. In that case, everyone may go home now, because no congratulations are needed anymore. I have decided not to hold this wedding. The hall fell into dead silence. The guests exchanged shocked glances. What did the young lady just say? She said the wedding is off. Did something happen? A white-haired nobleman rushed in front of Rosanna, visibly agitated. Wait a moment, miss. He questioned her furiously. How outrageously rude. If you must go mad, at least do it with some grace. This is no ordinary wedding. Everything was for the Duke. Enough. Does the Duke know about your attitude and your words, miss? Yes, he knows. The white-haired nobleman pressed a hand to his forehead. Of course. Then I'll go see the Duke right now. He froze mid-step. What? Rosanna's voice was calm and firm. The Duke already knows. Is there a problem with that? This is my wedding. I'll do as I please. No. She really has gone mad. I can't believe Duke Leylading would tolerate this. Rosanna turned, her skirt tracing an elegant arc. All right, I'm leaving now. You may all go as well. It seems everyone is rather wary of the Duke. 10 years have passed. Duke, your authority seems to have changed quite a lot. I still remember how you cried and made a fuss back then, saying the evil dragon was too terrifying and refusing to join the subjugation force. Times change, while I alone remained where I was. She let out a soft sigh, pushing away the pointless sentimentality. I need to find that young Marquis. After entering Rosanna's body, some abilities remained. My aura had vanished. For now, what I can confirm is this. Although I lost my sturdy body, my powerful abilities still remain. Rosanna extended her perception outward. Soon she sensed the young Marquis's presence. This ability is completely intact. It seems I can still distinguish people this body has met before, and the accuracy isn't bad either. Footsteps approach from far away, steady and strong. Rosanna turned toward the source of the sound. The young Marquis. The young Marquis called softly, "Rosanna." She curled her lips into a greasy smile. "Missing me already? You came looking for me yourself." He was even uglier than Rosanna's memories had suggested. Rosanna declared expressionlessly, "No. Today's wedding is canceled. I cannot marry a pervert. I've already informed the guests and the Duke. Marquis, you should personally inform Marchioness Zizalia." The young Marquis's smile froze. "What? Rosanna, what did you just—" "I am not Rosanna. It is Mississippi." The young Marquis's face twisted in disbelief. "What? Aren't we in love? This was only a political marriage between our families." Rosanna's voice was cold. "You should at least know how to respect your partner." The young Marquis's anger finally erupted. "What is this supposed to be? Do you have any idea how many people are gathered here, celebrating for us? And knowing that you still do this?" Rosanna's tone was resolute. "It is better to break an engagement than get divorced later." The young Marquis gnashed his teeth, his face twisted. "You are truly hopeless. Rosanna," he roared. "You were the one who volunteered to help the family." He bent down, pressing close to Rosanna. "Now that the wedding is really here, you're scared. So you cancel it just like this? What do you think Duke Leylading will think of you?" Rosanna remained unruffled. "He will think I'm a lady." The young Marquis clutched his forehead, looking utterly incredulous. "Huh, why are you so impossible to talk to today?" Rosanna shot back coldly. "Is your comprehension that poor as well, Marquis? I already made it very clear before. You are to address me as Mississippi, yet you still fail to understand. Before marrying, you should receive a proper education first." The young Marquis's expression darkened as he issued a warning. "You'd better not do something you'll regret." Rosanna's eyes were as cold as frost. "First, you'd better understand your own position. Once you understand what sort of person you are, you'll realize you are not worthy of me, Marquis." The young Marquis's pupils shrank with fury, his teeth grinding. He suddenly seized Rosanna's shoulder. "I warned you not to do anything you'd regret. A pervert resorting to violence, too. Truly using every despicable method available." His fist looked like a fluffy loaf of cloud bread, but this body would definitely hurt if struck. "Better dodge first." The instant the fist flew out, a hand appeared from nowhere and firmly caught the young Marquis's wrist. "I had no intention of interfering in matters between the two of you, but this is a bit too much for a lady. Miss, are you all right? What is this? Those eyes. How can human eyes shine like jewels?" After confirming Rosanna was unharmed, the black-haired man relaxed. "Good. Was I mistaken? After looking at that ugly young Marquis for so long, seeing this handsome face instead was jarring. Strange. I only noticed him once he got close. Even if we'd never met before, I should have been able to sense his presence." The young Marquis bowed deeply, his voice trembling. "Duke Bofies. Duke Bofies. I only know of one Duke Bofies. Then this man is Zeadin." The black-haired man shielded Rosanna behind him, his voice icy. "To attack the bride on the wedding day. Marquis, you're even more trash than I imagined." The young Marquis stammered, "Duke, why would you?" Zeadin answered flatly, "Marquis Zizalia invited me as well. Have I come somewhere I shouldn't have?" Marquis. Cold sweat broke out on the young Marquis's face. "And no, of course not." Zeadin curled his lips into a faint sneer. His Majesty sent me to the battlefield to die, and you're wondering whether it's strange that I am still alive and attending this wedding? It's all a misunderstanding." The young Marquis's voice grew smaller and smaller. Zeadin stepped forward, his leather shoes clicking softly against the floor. "A misunderstanding? I see. Then what happened just now must also have been a misunderstanding. Miss Rosanna is the loyal and only daughter of House Leylading, one of His Majesty's great subjects. To raise a hand against such a lady is unthinkable." Zeadin's shadow fell over the young Marquis, and anger burned in his red eyes. "As you know, His Majesty is exceptionally cruel. He is always throwing me, his own nephew, into deadly places. If His Majesty were to learn of this, what do you think would happen to you?" "I truly didn't mean it that way." Zeadin's smile carried a trace of mockery. "Since the Marquis says so, then that must be the case. In that event, I shall inform His Majesty that the wedding has been canceled." The young Marquis bowed deeply, excused himself in panic, and turned to flee. "Miss, you needn't." Rosanna cut him off. "Duke, you needn't thank me, miss. Were you speaking on my behalf?" Zeadin looked slightly puzzled. "No, No, I only spoke my true thoughts. If I had married the young Marquis of Zizilia, the influence of House Leylading would have grown stronger, and the Emperor's power would have grown with it. That would not have benefited you, Duke. So that is why I say you needn't thank me for canceling the engagement. Zeadin looked baffled. I would guess Rosanna folded her arms and met his gaze. A flash glinted in Zeadin's red eyes. Duke, an attendant, entered the palace corridor with a report. His Majesty is summoning you. Zeadin raised a hand to his forehead and gave a bitter smile. It seems His Majesty wishes thoroughly to eliminate his nephew. Seeing me return safe and sound again must be a disappointment to him. I should go now. Mississippi Zeadin gently lifted Rosanna's hand. I originally came to congratulate you on your wedding. Now, it seems I can only congratulate you on breaking your engagement. He lowered his head and pressed a kiss to the back of her hand. Thank you, Duke, Rosanna said softly. Zeadin looked up at her, a faint smile at his lips. Your way of speaking is, no, it's nothing. In any case, I look forward to seeing you again. Rosanna leaned against the window as sunlight filled the entire hall. It seems the Emperor hasn't changed at all. He has probably already realized that my soul has vanished. I wonder what he'll do. A bluebird flew past the window, its wing beats crisp and light. At the same time, in a dim study, where the hell did you go? With a loud crash, a desk was overturned, papers scattering through the air. Who dares steal what belongs to me? My hero, the gift God bestowed upon me, has descended upon the entire empire. Rosanna sat at a table in the garden. She was deep in thought. This body is utterly lacking in strength, but strangely enough, my power remains entirely intact. I've confirmed it over the past few days. My sharpness in sensing presences and my reaction speed when stimulated are both still there. It must be the protection and blessing the gods granted to the hero's soul. No, my power remains, but that itself is a problem. It feels suffocating. If the blessings in my soul are intact, then that means the sealing spell itself is unchanged as well. If my identity is exposed, there is a high chance I will lose my freedom again. I must be careful. The Emperor and the Imperial family that manages the seal on the Guardian. Rosanna raised her hand, palm up toward the light. I have to act carefully. I can't let anyone discover my true identity. Only by breaking this seal. A resolute light flickered in her blue eyes. Only then can I obtain true freedom. But I know too little. Rosanna let out a sigh and lifted her teacup. I was born with overwhelming power, and because of that my parents feared me and abandoned me. At 17, I joined my first war to survive, caught the Emperor's eye, and was then sealed away. That is all I know. The last time the seal was broken was 10 years ago, during the subjugation of the Mad Dragon. Flames had filled the sky. The dragon roared. A lone figure stood in practice. If I can find the comrades who fought beside me back then, they may know something about the hero. Rosanna set down her teacup with a crisp sound. There's no need to go through the trouble of investigating, because the person who can give me answers is already within reach. The butler blocked the doorway, looking serious. My apologies. The Duke is resting. Rosanna stood beneath the grand portico and looked up at him. I have something I want to ask the Duke. The butler's tone did not change. Miss, you must address him as father. If you do not observe proper etiquette, then even if you are his daughter, I cannot allow you inside. I have something to ask father. Is that acceptable now? Take me to him at once. She stepped forward, her gaze leaving no room for argument. Then I will ask first. A low voice came from within the room. It's fine. Let her in. The butler was slightly startled. Rosanna lifted a brow smugly. He said I may go in. The butler stepped aside. Yes, please enter. Rosanna walked into the room. Duke, no, father. I came because there is something I wish to ask you. Inside the room, a bearded man sat beside the bed holding documents. You came. Rosanna's gaze fell on the hand wrapped in bandages. Is your hand injured? The butler explained, Miss, the Duke had a small accident on the day of the wedding and injured his hand. My wedding? Rosanna's thoughts drifted. That hand, it feels like the same hand I held. The Duke cleared his throat, interrupting her thoughts. He looked up impatiently. Didn't you say you had a question? Ask it quickly and leave once you're done. Rosanna came back to herself. I heard that 10 years ago, a subjugation force was formed to seal the Mad Dragon. I want to know where those people are now. The Duke's voice carried a trace of ridicule. I didn't know you were interested in that sort of thing. What is with this strange tone? Rosanna frowned. Father, stop wasting words. The Duke fell silent for a moment. Fine, it's nothing major. I can answer that soon enough. Those people. A hopeful smile appeared on Rosanna's face. Hearing him say that, they must all be doing well. The Duke's voice turned cold as ice. They're all dead. The smile on Rosanna's face froze instantly. Shock filled her blue eyes. The Duke paused and said, one survived, Grand Duke Balpius. Rosanna pressed. Other than him, everyone died? The Duke leaned back against the headboard. Yes, in battles like that, the ones sent to the front lines are expendable. When? When did they all die? Was it on the way back? Or the Duke cut her off? Rosanna, why are you so curious about something that has nothing to do with you? Isn't it a good thing to know the Empire's important affairs? The Duke sighed. You're not wrong, but this is all you need to know. He turned his face slightly, his eyes sharp. Knowing too much won't do you any good. It won't do you any good, and it won't do this family any good either, Rosa. Na pressed her lips together tightly. Emotion churned in her blue eyes. The Duke waved his hand. If you have no more questions, leave. And don't go outside babbling about my hand. But what you asked just now, Rosanna turned away. Understood. I had thought they all survived. They were badly injured, but not fatally. They were powerful enough to seal the Mad Dragon. After all, judging by the Duke's reaction, something suspicious definitely happened. Something big enough to endanger the entire family. A sharp light flashed in Rosanna's eyes. I need to see Zeadin. Just then, an attendant hurried over. Duke, a guest has arrived. The butler frowned. Didn't I say the Duke is receiving no visitors today? The attendant looked troubled. I did inform him, but he insisted on waiting in the drawing room. The butler asked impatiently, who is the guest? The attendant hesitated, then answered, His Grace, Grand Duke Alpius. Rosanna spun around sharply, her golden hair drawing an arc through the air. The attendant gasped. Miss, light flared in her eyes. The drawing room. She ran out, lifting her skirt. I have to get there before the butler. If I want to speak with him alone. Rosanna gathered her skirts and rushed downstairs. She flung open the drawing room door and called out loudly, Grand Duke Balpius. In the drawing room, a black-haired, red-eyed man sat on the sofa. He looked up at the sound of her voice. I heard visitors weren't being received today. I nearly left, but Miss you came. Rosanna locked the door behind her and jammed the handle with a broom. The Duke is unwell, so I will receive you in his stead. Zeadin looked at her with amused interest, though this is certainly a rather unique way to greet a guest. Rosanna paid no mind to his teasing. I have questions I want to ask you, and I do not wish to be disturbed. Zeadin chuckled. That tone of yours. Well, I'm not someone who fusses over etiquette either. To be honest, I actually came today to ask about you, Mississippi. Since you are here in person, I'll ask directly. Rosanna sat on the sofa opposite him. Please do. He leaned forward, his red eyes fixed tightly on her. Miss, are you connected to the seal on the Mad Dragon? He recognized me. Rosanna's heart jolted. After all, Zeadin has royal blood. I should have realized from the start that he would be able to sense my soul. Out of a misplaced sense of affection for an old comrade, I made a mistake. I can't ask Zeadin about the subjugation force now. Rosanna feigned confusion. What do you mean by that? Best to bluff first. Zeadin's gaze sharpened, denying it is useless. I definitely felt it. Rosanna's body tensed instantly. Should I just kill him here? Zeadin stood up. Then, he suddenly sat down beside Rosanna and reached out to take her hand. Rosanna asked in shock, What are you doing? The last time I held your hand like this, Miss, the noisy voices in my head went quiet. Rosanna frowned. Voices? Yes. The curse from the Mad Dragon's seal. Last time, I thought it was just my imagination. Now I'm sure. He wrapped both hands around hers. When I hold it like this, everything becomes quiet. The curse from the Mad Dragon's seal? Is it berserk madness? But why would Zeadin be bearing such a terrible curse? Saiton stirteher. I hope you will heal me with this hand. Mississippi Rosanna looked at him in silence. Since when have you been cursed? Since the day the Mad Dragon was sealed. Zeadin pointed to his earring. I have always worn a magical device to suppress the madness. Of course, it cannot eliminate it completely. Rosanna thought for a moment. I see. Your Grace, I'll keep this brief. Time is short. Zeadin chuckled. Time is short? Are you trying to send me away? Rosanna hurriedly explained. No, that's not what I meant. Violent banging came from outside the door. The butler shouted from outside, Miss, what are you doing? The moment the door opens, I'll have to leave. Zeadin looked innocent. In any case, what you just said means that your Grace needs me right now, correct? Zeadin's smile deepened. You're quicker than I expected. If you give me what I want, I guarantee no one will ever dare look down on you again. Well, no, forget it. Zeadin looked puzzled. Rosanna grabbed his collar. If you promise me one thing, then in the future, no matter what I ask of you, you must agree. Even if I ask for the Emperor's head. Zeadin's red eyes widened slightly. Miss, do you realize how dangerous those words were? Rosanna looked straight at him. Do you understand or not? The Duke who serves the Emperor would never allow me to meet with you. So my plan is to force you to come see me. Therefore, if you want to make a deal with me, the door was slammed open and the butler and attendants rushed in. Miss, Rosanna pulled him into her arms so that their bodies pressed tightly together. Then kiss me now. There is no better method when it comes to matters between a man and a woman. Think of it as artificial respiration, if that makes it easier. He was silent for a moment. Then, he raised a hand and gently stroked Rosanna's earlobe. "Excuse me." He bent down and kissed her. The butler and attendants stood dumbfounded, their cries caught in their throats. "Miss," from that day onward, high society was thrown into an uproar. Rosanna kissed Zeadin. Rumors spread everywhere. The Duke tried to suppress them, but public gossip is stronger than gold. The rumors even reached provincial nobles and the imperial family. Since House Leylading was a core pillar of the Emperor's faction, people began to speculate that it might be joining forces with Grand Duke Bofies. Father slammed the table. "Why do you always cause trouble? Couldn't you just stay obedient the way you used to?" Rosanna calmly looked back at him. "Didn't you personally tell me before to do as I pleased? Is that what you meant? Did you mean I could do absolutely anything I wanted?" Rosanna's gaze was icy. "Are you the kind of person whose words and actions don't match? In that case, Father, you shouldn't have said it in the first place." Father clutched his forehead in anger. "Stop calling me Father." Rosanna nodded. "Understood." The Duke sank down weakly. "Rosanna, anyway, this matter cannot simply be ignored. For the time being, stay confined to the estate." The incident happened in the drawing room, yet the punishment is confinement to the estate rather than her bedroom. The Duke is still too soft. Father rubbed his temples. "Even if you don't answer, there's nothing I can do. Ever since the day you canceled the wedding on your own, this bandage has never come off. It seems you didn't control your strength properly. I had no intention of using that much force." Father looked baffled. "Rosanna, what are you talking about? My hand was injured in an accident." Rosanna's gaze sharpened. "Is that so? On your wedding day, I fell and hurt myself. I am the Grand Duke of Leylading. Do you really think that simply holding my daughter's hand would injure me?" Rosanna replied evenly, "Injured from falling? If you had rolled quickly at the time, you wouldn't have been hurt." Father fell silent. "Stop talking nonsense." "That isn't nonsense. But never mind. I already forgave you for canceling the wedding, didn't I? Since that's the case, the least you could do is not cause more trouble. How long has it even been since the wedding was canceled? And already you're tangled up with another man." Father's anger burned hotter and hotter. "Duke, it seems the more you talk, the angrier you become. You ought to control your temper." He slammed the desk and shot to his feet. "Silence." "Rosanna, even words spoken out of concern make you angry now? For now, the rational me must endure." "Huh, His Majesty has probably heard those rumors too." Rosanna looked at him quietly. "Of course. That is exactly why I exist. The Emperor will investigate thoroughly. If I can't find a way to break the seal, then I must weaken his power to protect this freedom." House Leylading, the Empire's only ducal house, the core of the Emperor's faction. If rumors spread that the Duke and the Emperor were growing distant, then the unity of the nobles in the Emperor's faction would collapse. The problem is that I spent my whole life bound and never even thought to break free. I never realized how much power comes with being the Empire's sole Duke. Striking first truly was the wise choice. Rosanna nodded in satisfaction. "Duke, the rumors have already spread. At this point, what better option is there? Since no other marriage proposals will come anyway, why not simply announce that I will marry that Grand Duke?" Father sat behind the desk in silence. His face darkened as he muttered his daughter's name. "Rosanna." Then he suddenly exploded. "Get out of my study this instant. Your Grace. Your Grace." Zeatin's fingertips brushed his lips, a trace of aftertaste in his gaze. Pabor looked at him with concern. "Are you all right? Why are you touching your lips like that?" Zeatin lowered his hand. I just need to think. Is this about the Emperor again? I heard he made you wait all night again and never even showed his face." Pabor slammed a fist into his palm. "What kind of emperor only shows himself when it's time to send people to die? In the end, aren't we the ones protecting the Empire? We should just make a scene and go on strike altogether." Zeatin raised a hand to stop Pabor. "I have a question." Pabor immediately answered respectfully. "Your Grace, please ask. Since I can't accompany you into the palace, I'll answer anything I can." Zeatin's eyes drifted. If someone suddenly locked the door, what does that mean? "Yes," and then said she wanted a kiss or something. He abruptly realized. So the person you met wasn't the Emperor, but that young lady?" Zeatin admitted it. I want to see the young lady." Pabor's face lit up with wild joy. "You, who only ever knew how to rush to your death. Finally, this must be told to everyone." Zeatin cut him off coldly. "You will say nothing." Pabor went on excitedly. "What a bold young lady. She actually asked for a kiss herself." Zeatin scolded him in a low voice. "Quiet. Pabor, by the way, how many years have you been married?" 10 years. "We want to hunt the mad dragon on the 3rd day after my wedding. On the day of departure, Your wife even gave you a pendant and cried as she saw you off. Pabor cupped his face in both hands. Even a young Grand Duke cried with her. Zeadin fell deep into thought. Married 10 years, and she asked for a kiss first. So in the end, was there still affection there? For reference, her wedding was only just canceled. It was a political marriage. In my view, this may also be because of you. Zeadin frowned. What? Because of me? Pabor gestured excitedly. I heard that after that young lady canceled the wedding, she asked you for a kiss. Then it's obvious. That young lady has feelings for you. A woman would never ask a man she felt nothing for to kiss her, much less after breaking off an engagement. Pabor stepped forward. Your Grace, how do you feel? Isn't that the real issue? Zeadin touched his earlobe lightly. The situation is bad. There's a problem with the Madragon seal. The magical artifact is gradually cracking. If this goes on, either I will go mad and reveal everything, or I will end my own life. But when I held that woman's hand, I endured for 2 days. And after that kiss, the noise that had continued for days also stopped. Zeadin's hand slid to the back of his neck. I absolutely need her. That woman, Rosanna, lifted her teacup. How boring. Waking up naturally, eating delicious food, and having no one come to bother me. She sat in the garden, enjoying the sunlight. Wasting time truly is a delight. A maid brought over some sweets. Miss, I brought you sweet bread and jam. It looks delicious. The maid smiled. Please enjoy. She replied softly. Thank you. 2 maids whispered in the distance. Do you really think she's fine? We serve her bread and jam when she can't even open the lid. I was timid to begin with, and now that she's caused trouble, I'm even less willing to say anything. If I reported every little thing, I would have been dismissed long ago. But lately there are rumors that she's changed. That only makes me more curious. Someone like her doesn't deserve something as luxurious as jam. Rosanna picked up the jam jar. She gave a light twist. The lid came off at once. The 2 maids stared in shock. How did that open? Rosanna looked up, her eyes clear and innocent. Was I not supposed to open it? The maids hurriedly waved their hands. And no, that's not it. Rosanna smiled faintly. Assisting your master while she eats and preparing desserts is your job. I only open it out of habit. She handed the jar to the maid. Here, open it. I'll wait. The maid looked stunned. Rosanna's voice remained calm. I said I'll wait for you to open it. The maid took the jam jar. Oh, okay. She muttered inwardly. Are those strange rumors true? She's become really troublesome. The maid gripped the jar in both hands and tried lightly at first. What's going on? Why won't it open? She put all her strength into it, but the lid did not budge. She had just closed it with those slender wrists. How is this possible? Rosanna simply watched her in silence. This jam jar. Rosanna held out her hand. Give me the jar. If you can't open it, the bread will get cold. The maid froze. Oh, okay. She's doing this on purpose to make things hard for me, to embarrass me, and then say something about it. But what am I supposed to do? Rosanna twisted it once. The lid opened. The maid's mouth fell open in shock. Rosanna picked up a slice of bread and spread jam over it. You should train yourself a bit first. If your body is this weak, your work will be very hard. She put the bread in her mouth and chewed lightly. What's so difficult about that? You let the bread get cold. The maid quickly bowed. Oh, I'm sorry. Would you like me to warm it again? Rosanna set down her utensils. No need. I'm done. It tastes good even cold. You all did well. She stood up. I'd like to go for a walk. I'll leave this place for you to clean up. The maids hurried to answer. Why, yes, miss. We'll clean it up right away. Rosanna, lay-lating, walked alone through the garden and stretched lazily. Phew, I'm full. After getting used to dried meat and fish covered in dirt, everything tastes delicious now. I spread every bit of jam on and ate it all. The sunlight is perfect and the garden is beautiful. Everyone else just rides through in carriages and passes it by. If it were me, I'd make sure to enjoy it properly. A dove fell from the sky. Rosanna steadied herself and opened her palm. A baby bird lay quietly there. She let out a relieved breath. Careful, at least you don't seem hurt. Rosanna looked up toward the branch. There was a bird's nest there, so you fell from there. Don't be afraid. I'll put you back. Rosanna gently held the baby bird in her mouth and grabbed the rough trunk with both hands. She began climbing upward. Then she took the baby bird from her mouth and placed it carefully in her palm. You're startled. I only held you in my mouth so I could climb. She returned the bird to the nest. It's a little wet, but that's fine. The chicks huddled together. She sat on the branch and looked out over the distant scenery. The view is this good. It would be a waste to go down now. The land I protected. Only now do I finally get to see it with my own eyes. Only after no one is searching for me anymore. Screams came from below the tree. Miss. Rosanna looked down at the sound. The maids shouted up at her. How in the world did you get up there? We're terribly sorry. Please come down quickly. Rosanna waved her hand. Leave me alone. Go to your work properly. The head maid stamped her feet in panic. Miss, don't move. I'll go call someone. Stay right there and don't move. So ordinary people really can't climb trees? Then what would they do if they were chased by monsters or enemies? In any case, I should avoid climbing trees from now on. There's no need to attract attention. A furious shout came from below. Rosanna, what are you doing? The Duke and his guard knights had arrived as well. The Duke pointed up at Rosanna in the tree. Go save Rosanna immediately. She absolutely must not be injured. The knights answered at once. Yes, sir. They all rushed toward the tree at once. This has become a much bigger scene than I expected. Going down now doesn't seem very fitting. Since ordinary noble ladies do not climb trees, then no matter how unwilling I am, I suppose I can only wait. Miss, you may come down now. Rosanna placed a hand on the knight's shoulder. All right, thank you. The Duke was furious. What in the world is going on here? Did you do this because you're confined? Were you trying to kill yourself? Rosanna tried to explain. Duke, it's not like that. Please hear me out first. The Duke cut her off sharply. Be quiet. Rosanna froze. Why is he so angry? The Duke turned to the maids. While the mistress you serve was climbing a tree, what were you all doing? The head maid answered in a trembling voice. We were cleaning up after dessert. The Duke roared. Is that your excuse? Bring me the head maid. I'll dismiss every last one of you right now. The maids fell to their knees in terror. Duke, we're sorry. Please, anything but dismissal. The Duke showed no mercy. I have no need for people who disrespect their master. Rosanna raised a hand to stop him. Wait, if a Duke neglects his duties, he should be held accountable. Then doesn't the same apply to you? The Duke stiffened at her words. What? Rosanna, lay-lating, looked him straight in the eye. Then who should I call? Should I ask the Emperor to replace my father? You defy me just to protect them? The ones who should never let a child out of their sight are the parents. If even my own parents do not watch over me, how can I expect anyone else to respect me and follow me? The Duke's face darkened instantly. Without saying a word, he fell silent. The way my servants treat me, the way they see me, all of it comes from you, Duke Father. If you do not value me, how can you expect others to value me? Isn't that right? So stop blaming innocent people. No matter who comes, I am still just Rosanna lay-lating, the Duke's unwanted illegitimate daughter. Rosanna lay-lating. All of you get up. The maids raised their heads. Mississippi, didn't you hear what I said? Or are you still unwilling to listen? The maids hurriedly got to their feet. And no, of course not. Rosanna, lay-lating, turned and walked away. I'm busy, so I'll be leaving. The Duke called to the knight beside him. Hey, the knight answered respectfully. Yes, your grace. Speak. The Duke watched Rosanna's retreating back. About Rosanna, what do you think? No, forget it. Night fell. Starlight glittered outside the window. A man crouched in a dark corner. Do you want to die? Another voice snapped. Who told you that you could just take the money and leave? The man in the corner was seized by the collar. Ugh, you bastard. I only. He allowed a quiet sigh. The Empire is still suffering. Since ancient times, the bloodline of the Empire has been drunk on war. Even when they started wars recklessly, there was always some hero who brought them victory. So they never stopped. But behind that dazzling victory and prosperity, the shadows of starving commoners always remained. While I was sealed away, I thought perhaps the world might have changed a little. But life here seems much the same as before. A scream ripped through the night. Please. Two thugs had cornered a young girl. One sneered. You're going to hand it over anyway, so why bother counting it? The girl struggled desperately. Please give it back. That's the money for bread. My father hasn't eaten in days. The thug held her coin purse with a mocking grin. Why can't he eat? Just earn more and buy some. He poured the coins into his palm. What's this? You've got money after all. Enough for rent, sure. But once we add the seat fee, it's not enough. The girl's eyes brimmed with tears. Rent fine, but what do you mean by seat fee? That's absurd. That's just how the world works, kid. Everyone else pays up quietly. So why are you being so stubborn? He turned and ordered his companion. Hey, take all our customers' things too. Yes, boss. The girl angrily grabbed his arm. They pay because they're afraid of you. You thugs. You hooligans. The thug let out a cold laugh. This is what happens when you push your luck. His eyes turned vicious. Want me to show you why people are so afraid of us? A hand landed on the thug's wrist. Rosanna's voice rang out coldly. I'd like to know that myself. Why exactly should people be afraid of you? The thug turned around in shock. Rosanna stood behind him, gripping his wrist tightly. Where did this lunatic come from? Collecting rent, I can understand. If you rent out a house, collecting payment is only natural. There was not the slightest ripple in Rosanna's blue eyes. But charging a seat fee on top of that is ridiculous. The thug scoffed. Huh, you're so scrawny you look like a woman. You probably think you're a bit strong, but in the end, you're just a woman. He tried hard to shake off her hand, then stared at his own arm in disbelief. Wait, his companions were still jeering. Boss, teach her a lesson. Boss, go. Rosanna's voice sounded by his ear. You think I'm just some girl, don't you? Don't worry, you're not the first person to think that. Everyone thinks it the first time they see me. Rosanna's gaze sharpened. Then they realized the truth. Rosanna's voice was as cold as ice. After they experienced it for themselves, the thug let out a scream of pain. Ag, my hand, he shouted at his men. You idiots, are you just going to stand there and watch? One of them stared at Rosanna in disbelief. Boss, is he serious? Another thug, a bald man, stepped forward, scratching the back of his head. Your courage in stepping in is admirable. But I'm not like the boss. I won't go easy on you just because you're a woman or a kid. Before he could finish, Rosanna kicked him. His whole body flew backward and slammed hard into the wooden door. Rosanna shook out her hand, her gaze icy. Who are you? I don't care right now. I just want to beat you up. The rescued girl looked at Rosanna with shining admiration. Rosanna closed her eyes. But I still can't help worrying. Do you really understand what I said? The thugs trembled on the ground. Igriagajis, we'll only collect fair rent from now on. No more seat fees. Rosanna rubbed her aching wrist. My wrist hurts. Next time I should just use a weapon. From now on, help each other and live properly. I only beat you half to death to give you a chance to repent. The girl stood there, looking at Rosanna and the fallen thugs. Wow, big sister, you're amazing. Good. Now get up and return every seat fee you've collected this month. The thugs looked up in terror and answered in unison. Yes. A sharp light flashed through Rosanna's blue eyes. If you forget today's lesson or come back for revenge, it won't end this gently next time. Understood? The thugs were scared out of their wits. Understood. Rosanna waved them off. Get lost. Is your wrist all right? The girl shook her head lightly. Ah, yes. I'm Yufine. He didn't grab me that hard. They won't come collecting seat fees again. But you still have to pay rent. Yes. After all, we are using someone else's house. You're smart. Big sister, what's your name? Someday, I want to repay your kindness. Rosanna's gaze softened. Forget it. I'll help anyone who's being bullied. But when you grow up, don't ignore a crying child. Have the courage to ask why they're crying and help them however you can. The girl's eyes shone. Big sister, you're so cool. I'll do it. I promise. A faint smile rose on Rosanna's lips. Rosanna gently patted the girl's head. Good. Then live well. She turned and walked away, disappearing into the night. The girl and the others ran after her. Big sister, thank you for protecting us. I'll never forget you. The one who should be saying thank you is me, Rosanna answered inwardly. Thank you for saying that I protected you. In a lavish room, sunlight streamed through the window. A man spoke. Miss, I heard you were hurt. The young lady who broke off her engagement. They say she caused a commotion by climbing a tree. Rosanna sat on the sofa, calm as ever. I wasn't hurt. I only tore my dress a little while climbing the tree. Zeadin shot to his feet. Wait, you really climbed a tree? You actually risked your life. Rosanna looked at him blandly. Yes, I did. So, there was a baby bird that had fallen from the tree. If I hadn't helped, it would have died. A fallen chick under the tree. Rosanna tilted her head slightly. Can't the Grand Duke climb trees? I remember you were quite good at it when you were little. That's not the point. You're too reckless, too bold. I'd rather you praise me for being strong. Rosanna turned her head. By the way, how have you been lately? I mean the curse. The curse. Thanks to that kiss last time, I was fine for a few days. Zeatin's cheeks flushed instantly, but he couldn't bring himself to say it. Grand Duke. Rosanna watched him hesitate, stopping halfway through his words. There are two ways to irritate someone, you know? A glimmer of understanding flashed in Rosanna's blue eyes. The curse is acting up. The cold sweat and flush on his face could not be hidden no matter what. He couldn't even finish a sentence properly now. He must be enduring terrible pain. Last time, when I held his hand, the symptoms stopped. She reached out and gently held Zeidin's hand. The redness gradually faded from his face. So it really works. At last, clarity returned to his eyes. Rosanna spoke softly. Grand Duke, there is something we need to make clear. Zeidin looked flustered. What is it? Even if holding my hand can ease the curse, I cannot allow you to cut it off. Besides, that wouldn't suppress the curse anyway. Zeidin gave an awkward laugh. I never thought of that. Oh, good then. Rosanna continued holding his hand. Then, Grand Duke, may I ask you one more thing? As long as it's not anything strange, go ahead. Rosanna's gaze sharpened. Grand Duke, he answered nervously. Igriagajis. Rosanna fixed her eyes on him. How do you feel? Why is she suddenly asking that? Does she mean holding hands or the kiss from last time? Could it be? Could it be that the lady is in love with the Grand Duke? I never said anything that dramatic. Zeatin's thoughts began to churn. Just like Paver said, does she like me? If that's true, then I should answer her too. He parted his lips. As Zeidin finally spoke. Rosanna listened quietly. I see. Then let's continue like this. Zeidin froze for a moment. What? I mean our relationship. You said you wanted me to heal you with my hand. For that, we need to look close. I thought you might feel uncomfortable because of the Emperor, but then you said you liked it. I understand now. Are you still feeling unwell? But we're still holding hands. Zeidin suddenly realized something. So that's why you were holding my hand. No, it's nothing. Go on, Rosanna said, a trace of slyness in her eyes. Then why don't we pretend to be a couple on the surface? Consider it a kind of disguise. Since it would be a fake relationship, there wouldn't be any emotional entanglements. Zeadin abruptly stood up. Rosanna looked at him in confusion. Grand Duke? He didn't dare meet Rosanna's eyes. Miss, I just remembered something urgent. May I take my leave for today? Rosanna looked at him calmly. Of course. Zeadin turned and strode away in silence. The door slammed shut. She lifted her teacup and took a sip. I should apologize properly next time I see him. The chicks in the nest chirped noisily. Rosanna stood alone on the bridge. The Grand Duke came all this way on purpose, and I forgot to ask the most important thing. I should have asked him why he was afflicted with madness. Lost in thought, Rosanna frowned. How did you become afflicted with madness? You joined the glorious subjugation force and became comrades who entrusted each other with your lives. Then how did they die? Did the hero from back then die too? I meant to find all that out, but then Zeadin suddenly appeared. I forgot everything. Rosanna looked at her reflection in the water. Why still can't I sense Zeadin's presence? Is it because he's stronger than me now? My body may be weak, but I could still fight. If we crossed blades once, I would know. A maid ran over from afar. Miss Rosanna. Rosanna turned around. The maid reported breathlessly. There is a guest in the reception room. Rosanna turned toward the manor. All right, I'll come at once. The reception room. Could it be Zeadin again? Did he forget something? Or maybe, like me, he also forgot what he meant to say. This time I must ask clearly. I can't forget again. Rosanna stood by the door, eyes sharp. How did you become afflicted with madness? The glorious subjugation force was extraordinary. Then what about the companions who were with you? The door suddenly flew open. A brown-haired man stood in the doorway, wearing a crooked smile. Long time no see, my lady. Rosanna's pupils shrank abruptly, and her expression froze. The man tilted his head, studying her. What's with that expression? The brown-haired man leaned back in an ornate chair, amusement curling on his lips. It's almost as if you were waiting for someone else. He was called a hero, the man who led every war of the empire to victory. But in reality, he was only bound by endless seals, a fighting hound used to bring victory to the empire. Generation after generation, the emperors passed down ownership of the hero. No one ever spoke of his freedom. Crown Prince Joseph held the hero's chains and became the next master. That was careless of me. I naturally assumed it was the Grand Duke, so I paid no attention to his presence. Joseph looked at Rosanna. My lady, why are you so tense? I only came to have a talk with you. He casually waved a hand. Sit down first. My neck is already getting sore. Has he discovered me? When they sealed me, they created the ability to recognize my soul. That ability has been passed down through the Imperial line. If Joseph has already inherited it, should I kill him right now? Rosanna's fist clenched. Fine. Then let's not waste time. Let's be direct. Joseph slowly rose to his feet. My lady, I have come to retrieve what was lost. I've been discovered. He noticed my soul is no longer gone. I need to find a weapon before he lets his guard down. Best to move before he draws his sword. If not, a candlestick or even a fork will do. Worst case, I'll use my bare hands. Joseph gently touched Rosanna's shoulder. About our engagement. Why did you break it off? What? Why is he asking that? Did I hear him wrong? Rosanna stared directly at him. You said you came to retrieve what was lost. Is that more important than why I ended the engagement? She shoved Joseph's hand away. They say you've gone mad. It seems it's true. Joseph let out a soft laugh. Did you hate that marriage so much? You're truly like a different person. Truly. Even if I were a woman, I would still dislike him. He knows nothing, doesn't he? I made my guest stand too long. Sit down first, right? I panicked too much just now. I was a bit rash. If I killed the crown prince here, all his followers would attack. I can't kill everyone just for Joseph alone. Fine. I've confirmed that the prince is insane. Rosanna's gaze returned to calm. All right, now we can talk. Joseph opened a small box. It was filled with sugar cubes. You hated marrying the Marquis so much that you were willing to overturn everything. Fine, whatever. But your romance with the Duke of Bofies, isn't that going a bit too far? Joseph picked up a sugar cube. He's grown quite a bit. The last time I saw him, he had only just started learning to write. A child whose letters looked like bugs crawling. Now he talks this rudely. No matter how mad you are, you should know your place. You know he may commit treason. Joseph popped the sugar cube into his mouth. I came to reclaim the loyalty of the Leylading family and of you, my lady. If I become emperor, shouldn't I make use of their power? He still likes sweets just as much. Think carefully. The Duke of Bofies will die alone on the battlefield. Joseph grinned, baring sharp teeth. He's still so naive, like a child who cannot hide his intentions or his greed. Rosanna's lips curved faintly. Perfect for an adult to tease. So, you're jealous that I'm playing with the Duke? Joseph froze. What? Rosanna's smile grew brighter. Whatever I do with the Duke of Bofies is my own business. Joseph's face darkened. My lady, this is the last time I will tolerate your madness. Watch your tongue before making jokes. You just asked why I broke off the engagement, didn't you? It's for the same reason. Because it was my marriage. Joseph shouted, my lady. He flipped the table over. Tea splashed like arrows, so I merely acted as I pleased. Rosanna looked down at the mess, her gaze cold and contemptuous. You really are a child. Joseph, a bead of cold sweat formed on his cheek. He stared at what had just happened in disbelief. What was that just now? She caught it with her bare hand. Rosanna held the teacup steadily. There wasn't the slightest ripple in her blue eyes. Now it's my turn. Joseph's expression stiffened. What? My lady, you're not thinking of throwing that at me, are you? Rosanna's smile remained. Yes, why not? Such an empty threat should have been laughable. But why did it feel like overwhelming pressure was crushing down on him? Joseph sprang up from the sofa. My lady, put the cup down at once. If you dare injure me, His Majesty will never let you off. Rosanna set the cup back in place. It was only a joke. Why react so strongly? She toyed with a small object in her hand, smiling with easy composure. The cleaners will be here soon. I should stop here. If I drag this out, he might actually break down. Joseph's voice came from behind her, carrying a faint tremor. My lady, have you forgotten? His Majesty's guardian of the Empire, the sealed hero, his loyal chess piece. Joseph's eyes sharpened. If that hero were summoned to wipe out the Leylading family, could you really bear the consequences? His Majesty's puppet won't go easy on you just because you laid a finger on him. He won't show mercy. Rosanna's movement stopped. A hero used like a chess piece. His Majesty's puppet. Joseph continued pressing. That's right, a tool that obeys His Majesty's every word. So don't expect any mercy from him. A smug smile spread across his face, the kind with no trivial emotions at all. Before he finished speaking, a violet flash streaked through the air, followed by a harsh crash. The cup shattered on the spot. It broke into countless fragments. Joseph fell silent. A drop of cold sweat slid down his temple. He cautiously spoke. My lady, Rosanna, gave him a flawless smile. My hand slipped. It was an accident. Joseph's voice rose sharply. An accident? You were just about to attack the Empire's crown prince. You know very well that you can't brush this aside with some excuse. Rosanna's smile did not fade. Then summon him. Joseph froze. What? Rosanna spoke lightly. That puppet you boast about, that man who obeys His Majesty's every command, summon him. She leaned forward, hands clasped over her knees. But are you sure you want to do that? You would have to admit that I frightened you. In a reception room where only the two of us were present, you, Joseph, were threatened by Lady Rosanna and felt fear. So you summoned the hero to destroy the Leylading family. Joseph's face flushed crimson at once. He clenched his teeth and couldn't say a word. A blade hid behind Rosanna's smile. Won't people begin to question the Crown Prince's competence? Why don't we end today's meeting in a harmonious atmosphere? If you don't like that, then pretend I said nothing. Joseph fell silent. She's right. If word gets out that not only did I fail to suppress her, but I also turned the Leylading family into enemies. Damn it, what am I supposed to do? Rosanna rose from the sofa. It seems they've finally arrived. Joseph immediately tensed. What? Are you trying to slip away? Rosanna turned toward the door, her footsteps crisp. Slip away? I'm simply about to open the door. The Duke shoved the door open at once. Your Highness the Crown Prince, thank you for visiting despite your busy schedule. I just happened to prepare the finest imported tea and sweets to serve you. His gaze swept across the room. Why is there only one teacup here? He glared at Rosanna. Did you only prepare tea for yourself? No, this must be the servants' doing. So they dared play such tricks just because they were scolded. Rosanna's voice was calm and flat. No, Duke. The Duke blinked. What? Rosanna raised a hand and pointed to the other side of the room. Please look over there. There. What is that? The Duke looked where she pointed. What? What happened here? We only just bought that. He nearly collapsed, bracing himself on the floor with both hands. It took months to import that from overseas. No, wait. This is not the time to mourn the tea set. Why is he sleeping here? The Duke's voice trembled. Rosanna, was my guess true? Rosanna remained expressionless. If you think I threw it, then yes, I threw it. But hear me out first. There's nothing to hear. The Duke grabbed Rosanna by both shoulders. How many times have I begged you not to stir up trouble? Who else in the entire empire would do something this reckless? Rosanna's eyes were calm. The Crown Prince would. The Duke froze. What? Rosanna enunciated every word. The Crown Prince also did something this reckless. The Duke cleared his throat. When did I say this was reckless? And if His Highness struck back, it must have been because you threw something first. He had no choice. Rosanna answered firmly. No, the crown prince threw something first. If you don't believe me, then be quiet. The duke's voice turned pleading. Enough, please. If his highness decides to pursue this, how are we supposed to bear the consequences? The duke pleaded with Joseph. Your highness, please forgive this child. She has not been well lately. Please be magnanimous. Joseph remained silent. Your highness? Your highness? Rosanna's hand lightly touched the duke's arm. I was right, wasn't I? Then I'll be taking my leave. Since you've abandoned your duty as a father, at least clean up the mess. The duke suddenly grabbed her hand. Rosanna, stay a little longer. What is this? Why is he looking at me like that? It's not even the emperor, just the crown prince, and yet it burdens him so much that he wants me to stay. Duke, she gently held the duke's hand. Yes, Rosanna. The duke sucked in a breath, his face full of terror and shame. Rosanna withdrew her hand. I'll leave the rest to you. I'm a little tired. How does one mend the heart of a coward? The road ahead is long. The duke chased after Rosanna. Rosanna, Rosanna. Joseph may truly not know, but the emperor certainly does. He simply chose not to tell his son. Rosanna gazed into the distance through the window. Surrounded by greedy and suspicious men, he had no choice but to hide the fact that even his own son had already lost his greatest source of power. To the emperor, the crown prince was less a son than a rival to his throne. That is why he dared speak of me so carelessly. Rosanna sat back down, one elbow resting on the armrest. A puppet without emotions. Is that truly how he sees me? At the very least, I thought he would regard me as a person. Rosanna's hand tightened around the armrest until it cracked. If not for this damned sealing magic that binds me, the emperor's neck would already be in my hands. No, even without the seal, it might be difficult in this body. She opened her palm, where blood had begun to seep out. A fragile body that bleeds just from crushing what could never break into the Imperial Palace. But that doesn't mean I have no way. Rosanna picked up the bell on the table. Even if I cannot wrap my own hands around his throat, I can still make him taste suffocation. That child, that man, the emperor cannot kill him with his own hands, so he sent him to the battlefield. Rumor says he is very close to the emperor's faction, so close that the crown prince had to personally come tame him. Because of his madness, I am indispensable to him. Duke Bofies, as long as that man still exists. A soft knock came at the door. Come. A maid entered. You called for me, miss? Rosanna leaned back in her chair. I have something for you to do. Please give your orders. First, go to the estate of the Grand Duke of Bofies. The maid stiffened. What? She repeated in horror. The Grand Duke's estate? Rosanna spoke lightly. Go there, have a cup of tea, and come back. That way people will think you deliver a letter. The maid looked troubled. Miss, that's a little. Rosanna tilted her head. Ever since I saved her from being dismissed, she has been very diligent. Is there some reason she cannot go to the Grand Duke's estate? The maid blushed bright red. Even if you tempt me like that, I still can't do it. Rosanna looked puzzled. Tempt you? I'm not tempting you. Her tone remained flat. If you don't like it, you may leave. I can send someone else at any time. The maid hurriedly explained. That's not what I mean. If the Grand Duke catches us, being dismissed would be the least of it. He has even forbidden us to mention that man's name. Rosanna raised an eyebrow. Oh, is that so? The maid nodded repeatedly. Yes, I absolutely do not mean to refuse you. Mississippi Rosanna let out a small laugh. I understand. So that's what you meant. The maid blinked. What happened to this chair's armrest? Lately, out of guilt, I've been managing everything very carefully. I'd better replace it before he notices. Rosanna casually picked up a piece of jewelry and held it out. Take this. The maid accepted it in shock. Rosanna picked up another. Take this one too. And this. The maid fumbled to catch them all. Why, yes, miss. But miss, why are you suddenly bringing out so much jewelry? The maid held an armful of jewels. Do you need me to have them remade? Rosanna extended her hand. Choose. The maid froze entirely. Rosanna looked at the maid. Since you were the first to answer my call, I will give you this chance. Handle my errand properly, and all of these will be yours. Otherwise, leave. Who would dare refuse the young lady's order? She dropped to one knee. I will go to the Grand Duke of Bofies' estate at once. Is the Grand Duke's name taboo? The Grand Duke isn't even home. What does it matter? Stay there for a while, long enough for everyone to notice you. The maid excitedly raised a hand. I could even cartwheel all the way there. I'll make sure everyone sees me. Rosanna stopped her. One more thing. She picked up a jewelry box. Yes? Rosanna opened the box. Bring me a jeweler. The jewelry box was empty. I need to fill it again. The maid hesitated. Mississippi, haven't you run out of money? Rosanna closed her eyes. Put on the Duke's account. What? He did not even ask whether I was all right after being humiliated. Even a stranger would not be that cold. He even tried to stop me from leaving. It seems one jeweler won't be enough. A trace of resolve flashed in Rosanna's eyes. Not just a jeweler. Bring a designer too. I should enjoy spending that fortune for once. The maid's eyes lit up. Understood. She bowed and took her leave. Then I shall go now. I'll return as soon as the task is done. The door closed softly, but Rosanna rolled a gemstone in her hand, bigger than I expected. Would he really go this far for a daughter he dislikes? Sunlight filled the courtyard. Two maids were talking in the distance. Miss must have a lot on her mind. Of course, both the Grand Duke of Bofies and His Highness the Crown Prince came, and the Duke hates the Grand Duke so much. Ever since breakfast this morning, the Duke has been absent-minded. His thoughts must be in chaos. Rosanna's gaze finally focused. She found a cloud. It looks like a rabbit. What shape should I find next? Last time it was a butterfly. Maybe this time a dragonfly. A furious roar shattered the courtyard's peace. Rosanna sat on the swing, expression calm. He finally came. The Duke stormed over in anger. Rosanna, you wretch. He flung open a sheet of paper, shaking with rage. What is the meaning of this? Rosanna answered calmly. That's right. It's a bill. The Duke roared. Who doesn't know that? Then why ask? I mean, what is this amount on the bill? Rosanna replied lightly. Oh, that. Duke, have you ever given me money? What? Rosanna's eyes were clear. I am a child. Rosanna pointed at him. The Duke is the father. It is a parent's duty to take responsibility for a child's mistakes. Since the Duke never gave me any money, then he should take responsibility. Rosanna clenched her fist, smiling brightly. So let us each do our own part. Good luck. The Duke fell silent. A parent's duty. Then I all the more cannot pay it. Properly educating your child is also a parent's duty. Seeing how recklessly you spend, I must re-educate your sense of money. The Duke folded his arms. Therefore, I will not pay this bill. You must understand the consequences of reckless spending. Rosanna jumped to her feet from the swing. Don't suddenly get so serious. But I have no money. The Duke did not yield. Then that is your problem to solve. Who told you to spend recklessly without money? You'll have to sell your jewelry. A light flashed in Rosanna's eyes. Really? The Duke blinked. Rosanna seized him by the collar. I can really sell my jewelry? The Duke stammered. Why, yes, you can. But remember, if you sell it, it will lose value. Rosanna, let him go. Did you hear that? Tell the merchant guild they may sell the items I consigned. They said the reservation schedule was full. The maid hesitated. But Rosanna cut her off. Send someone immediately and sell everything. Leave not a single item. The Duke glared at the maid. That is Rosanna's order. Why are you hesitating? I should have dismissed you last time. The maid flinched. And no, Mississippi. I'll go at once. The Duke watched the maids retreating back. Oof. So you intended to clean up your own mess after all. I thought you didn't have the brains for it. Planning to sell things through the merchant guild. I knew it would come to this. The Duke turned to Rosanna. Let this be a lesson. Don't spend impulsively again. And while you're at it, fix that strange way you talk. Rosanna opened her eyes. What's wrong with the way I speak? The Duke put his hands on his hips. I heard this is how you spoke to the Crown Prince. You should be grateful you were not punished on the spot for insulting the royal family. Rosanna's gaze sharpened. I haven't insulted the royal family at all. It wasn't even a formal occasion. What's wrong with saying a few casual words to that brat? The Duke flew into a rage. Rosanna, he pointed at her. Mind your words and conduct. Rosanna let out a soft sigh. Duke, even if I had insulted the royal family, they could not punish me on the spot. She crossed her arms, eyes keen. To destroy the core power of the Emperor's faction would be foolish. Much less for a crown prince who has not yet ascended the throne. That little kitten, the Duke sank into thought. That, he had apparently never thought that far ahead. Looks like I really need to educate him again. Rosanna continued. So even if the Emperor feels somewhat displeased, there is no need to fear. The things I sold were merely what he gave in private, not official gifts. The Duke jolted in alarm. Things given in private? Wait, don't tell me those were gifts bestowed by His Majesty? It hit the Duke like lightning. Rosanna's fingers brushed the jeweled brooch on her chest. Yes, my own things weren't enough. The Duke completely broke down. Rosanna, you are determined to destroy this family. Rosanna's voice was cold as ice. I told you, the Emperor cannot kill us yet. The Duke nearly tore his hair out. You say that because you don't understand. Do you know what happens once you lose His Majesty's favor? Rosanna said calmly, fine. Duke, if the Emperor tries to kill you, I will step forward and save you. You should be grateful. Rosanna placed a hand over her chest. The strongest being in the Empire is now your child, Duke. The Duke said nothing. Rosanna looked up with a gentle smile. Yes, Duke? The Duke announced, your confinement is extended by another month. He doesn't believe me at all, but I truly meant it. Rosanna lightly brushed a rose. It will bloom tomorrow. The scent should be even stronger then. A maid stood behind her. Mississippi Rosanna looked up. The maid asked softly, "What are your plans for today?" Rosanna raised a rose in her hand. "What else could I do? After admiring the flowers, I will watch the shapes of the clouds and see how many new buds have grown in the cool shade." The maid's tone held a trace of confusion. "Again?" Rosanna replied blandly. "Again? These are things that can only be seen today." The maid tried to persuade her. "But there are other interesting things you could do." Rosanna lowered her eyes. "Yes, probably." The emperor said nothing and went straight to the Duke. "That's a little boring." The Duke's reaction must have been amusing. "I disappeared. Zeadin has also returned. He probably still hasn't noticed my soul." The emperor's greatest source of power and the maid's family his strongest support. If Zeadin were to lose both at once and then rebel, the owner of the throne would change in an instant. The maid clasped her hands together. "Miss, what about this?" Rosanna turned. "What?" The maid suggested attend a banquet, perhaps, or go out for a short walk. "I'm under house arrest right now." "Then how about inviting friends to the estate?" "I don't have any friends." The maid hesitated. Then Rosanna spoke. "I want to go to the library." The maid looked surprised. "The library? I didn't expect that." Rosanna looked at her doubtfully. "What?" The maid hurriedly waved her hands. No. It's nothing." The maid clasped her hands tightly. "Then I'll bring you the key to the library, so you can go whenever you like." Rosanna gave a slight nod. "Good. I'll leave it to you." The effect of giving her 3 gemstones is remarkable. A male servant came running over. "Lady Rosanna, there you are." Rosanna turned around. "What is it?" The servant reported, "My lady, there's a guest here to see you." "Who is it this time?" "It's Miss Brina of Portarunga." "Miss Brina of Portarunga?" "She's been chosen as the Sky Milky Way for several consecutive years." The maid covered her mouth, eyes wide with shock. Rosanna confirmed with the servant. "The person you just mentioned? That whatever galaxy person?" The servant answered, "Yes, that's right." Rosanna remained calm. "Understood. Go tell her to wait a moment. Since she came uninvited, she should be able to bear a bit of waiting." The servant responded, "Yes, my lady. I'll go tell her at once." Portarunga. Why did she come without invitation? I searched my memory and could not recall. We were never close enough for that. What reason would she have for suddenly coming to see me? We aren't close. The maid guessed. Could it be that she wants to become close to you from now on? Rosanna gave her a sidelong glance. "With me? Are you serious?" The maid immediately shrank back. "Maybe not, but since it's come to this, making a friend wouldn't be bad. Miss Brina has held the title of Sky Milky Way for years in a row. This is a good chance to expand your social circle." Rosanna said expressionlessly, "The galaxy is beautiful, but it doesn't interest me." Rosanna continued, "And could you stop mentioning that ridiculous title?" The maid turned pale with shock. "Ridiculous? That title was bestowed personally by the late emperor, saying that could bring great trouble. A title bestowed personally by the late emperor. It is fortunate that people believe that. The truth was troublesome. The crown princess had to possess both beauty and talent, yet noble ladies like that rarely attended social functions. The late emperor asked the red-haired female knight, "So tell me, is there any way to make noble ladies attend royal banquets?" The knight replied impatiently, "I am busy dealing with the aftermath of the Civil War." "Is that what you came to ask me?" The late emperor did not back down. "This is just as important as the Civil War." He sighed. "First, choose one clever lady from among the noble ladies who attend the banquet. Then grant her a title, something like Sky Milky Way. If the court bestows a title on a noble lady every year, won't those young ladies who have no interest in social life also come to the banquets?" The late emperor clapped his hands in sudden realization. "As expected of a hero, I was right to ask you. Thank you so much." The female knight turned to leave. "Then I shall take my leave." She lifted the curtain and closed her eyes. Rosanna held her forehead. "I only said it in passing. I didn't expect them to really use it as is." They had also struggled when naming villages. "How about the title Sky Milky Way? I came up with it myself." A minister's sycophantic voice chimed in. "Your Majesty, that's marvelous." It seems they liked it very much, and later claimed they thought of it themselves. It was probably something like that. The maid leaned closer. "Miss, would you like to try for it too?" "This year's Sky Milky Way hasn't been chosen yet." Rosanna replied flatly. "I'm not good at thinking." The maid looked puzzled. "Thinking? Isn't it supposed to be chosen from the smartest noble lady?" The maid suddenly realized. Not the most beautiful noble lady? Since a galaxy is beautiful, then what exactly is the standard? This body's memories still haven't fully settled in. In any case, I have no interest in any galaxy." The maid sighed. But that's the highest honor in high society." Rosanna turned and walked away. "It isn't what I want. Come, let's go. We shouldn't keep an uninvited guest waiting." The maid followed behind her. "Yes, Mississippi. I hadn't expected much to begin with." Rosanna pushed open the door. As expected, she didn't come to make friends after all. She entered the reception room with her guards and sat there waiting with that expression. A memory drifted in and out of reach. It seemed to have something to do with Count Petrenga's family. Brina and that cold Miss Leylading. How very rude of you. Rosanna had no idea what she meant. Brina continued her reproach. Not only did you keep your guests waiting, you didn't even greet us? Resting her chin on her hand, Rosanna replied. We've already treated uninvited visitors as guests, and now you're saying it's rude not to greet them? Before demanding a greeting, I think you should apologize first. Brina flared up. Uninvited visitors? Rosanna shot back, aren't you? Did you contact me, and I somehow didn't receive it? Brina and Senna were momentarily speechless. We've known each other a long time. Since you have no intention of apologizing, I'll skip the greeting too. Rosanna turned her face aside. If you have something to say it. And leave when you're done. Guard Mark clenched his fists, burning with anger. How outrageous. Brina raised a hand to stop Mark. Enough. That's how ill-bred people are. They probably don't even realize how rude they are. Don't be upset. Shouldn't we be tolerant of them? Miss, they said she gone mad. It seems it's true. She used to be so careful, and now she's daydreaming so openly. Rosanna did vaguely remember the Petrenga Count's family. Whether your family rose or fell has nothing to do with me. Brina hid her annoyance behind a graceful tone. I only came to say my piece and leave. I came today to offer you some advice. I heard His Highness the Crown Prince visited you. Don't get delusions about becoming Crown Princess. Suddenly Rosanna clapped her hands. I remember now. The Petrenga family. The family that bought a genealogy and became nobles. Rosanna smiled brightly. Brina's face instantly flushed red. W, what did you say? How did you know that? That had happened over 100 years ago. Hardly anyone in the family knew the secret. Rosanna let out a long breath. That feels good. I couldn't stand listening anymore. The guard sprang to his feet and slammed his glove onto the table. How dare you show such disrespect to my mistress? Rosanna lowered her eyes. HM, she picked up Mark's glove. Brina gasped. Miss, are you serious? Are you truly accepting Mark's challenge to a duel? My, what confidence? Rosanna looked baffled. Did he just challenge me to a duel? Brina turned and rebuked her guard. How could you act on your own? Just because the other side was rude, you would do the same? Mark bowed deeply. My lady, I apologize to you, but I cannot tolerate anyone disrespecting you. Brina closed her eyes and soothed him softly. I'm sorry you were startled, but dueling is a tradition passed down since ancient times. It cannot be ignored. The lady has already accepted, so don't think of taking it back now. Kids these days sure make challenging someone to a duel complicated. Back in my day, drawing your sword and charging was considered virtuous. We even had the romance of asking after the other person's parents first. Brina stood up. Then we will notify you of the date by letter. Rosanna tilted her head. We still have to set a date? It's not now. It's too late to play dumb and avoid it now. Go find a knight who can stand against Mark on your behalf, though I very much doubt you'll find anyone. Sunlight poured over a grand estate as a maid called anxiously, my lady, my lady. She hurried after Rosanna. There's still time. Please cancel the duel. Who would dare oppose Miss Brina's guard? Rosanna stopped. Why? Is he that strong? The maid looked tense. He's a candidate for captain of the First Royal Knights, the Golden Knights. Rosanna murmured in reply, but he's only a candidate. The maid answered urgently. That alone proves his strength has been recognized. Rosanna turned around. Can I fight myself? The maid waved her hands frantically. It's not impossible, but usually a knight fights in the lady's place. If you go personally, everyone will mock you. They'll say you don't even have a knight to protect you. I don't really care about that. But if I fight in person, it'll only be like telling the emperor to look this way. How annoying. Rosanna suddenly smiled. All right, where are we headed now? The maid looked blank. My lady, we're already here. Didn't you tell me to bring you to the training grounds? Right? You said that. So those people are the Leylading Knights? The maid lowered her head in confirmation. Yes, my lady. Rosanna's gaze swept across the training grounds. Wow, they've really fallen. Rosanna turned to the maid and ordered. They all look utterly lax. Go tell them I've arrived. The maid answered respectfully. Yes, my lady. She announced loudly. Lady Rosanna has arrived. Everyone, pay your respects. The hall was noisy. The knights lounged around, sitting and lying down. What? They said the Duke came? Rosanna's eyes swept over the room. Not one of them came forward to salute. At most, a few gave perfunctory nods after meeting her gaze. The maid grew flustered. Maybe my voice was too quiet. I'll say it louder. Rosanna raised a hand to stop her. No, it's fine. I'll go myself. This scene reminds me of my wedding. They were like this back then, too. My lady, back then, Rosanna strode forward, her skirt brushing the floor. She stopped in front of the knights, arms crossed over her chest, radiating silent pressure. Do you get paid for lounging around like this? In my day, if subordinates dared stay seated when their superior arrived, I'd have let them taste hell. I'm already used to scenes like this. You're just killing time, then reporting that you've trained diligently, aren't you? One Knight muttered, "My lady, that's going too far." Rosanna gave a light laugh. "This is nothing. I'll be much worse from now on. All right, everyone, pack your bags. You're all dismissed." The knights leapt to their feet. What? So now you're finally willing to move your noble backsides. A job that pays on time like this isn't easy to find. One knight's eyes darkened. "I think you're going too far." Rosanna ordered the maid, "Go call the butler and tell him I've dismissed all the knights." The maid hesitated. "If I leave, you'll be all alone." "I'll be fine." One knight stepped forward. "My lady, you seem mistaken. The authority to dismiss knights belongs to the Duke. This isn't something you can order." Rosanna's lips curled upward. "Is that so? Then I'll call the Duke." "You heard me. Go bring the Duke here." From the start, I shouldn't have called the butler. Since the Duke recruited people like you as knights, he should take responsibility. I'm not going to go tell him myself. I will tell him personally, so hurry and bring him. And if he doesn't come, I'll sell something else. The maid immediately turned. "Yes, my lady." Rosanna looked at the knights' alarmed expressions. "Mention the Duke, and you all start trembling." How pathetic. The knights exchanged glances. Is no one going to stop her? One knight stepped forward. "My lady, this seems to be a misunderstanding." The vice captain piled on a smile. "We just happened to be resting. We had just finished hard training, and we're taking a short break." Rosanna looked at him coldly. "Do I look easy to fool? With skin as soft and smooth as yours, you've trained?" The captain dropped the smile. "As captain, I apologize for the impure attitude of my members. We were simply startled when you said we were taking pay for nothing." Rosanna put her hands on her hips. "So it's my fault? Who would like it if someone suddenly came in saying that? Right, we do train hard. You shouldn't make arbitrary judgments based on a momentary glance." Rosanna smiled faintly. "Good. If that's true, then this is simple. Sir Mark, the guard knight of Miss Brina, has challenged me to a duel." Sir Mark Fottrell? The entire mood among the knights froze. Fear spread through the air. Rosanna looked around at them, her voice icy. "Who is willing to fight in my place? Raise your hand." No one did. "Anyone?" Still no one. Rosanna smiled contemptuously. "And you call this diligent training? Doesn't this count as taking pay for nothing?" The captain flushed red. "Sir Mark is an exception." "An exception? Why?" "He's a candidate for the Golden Knights. He wins the swordsmanship tournament every year." Rosanna cut him off. "That was a long sentence just to hide your fear. How exhausting. We just don't want to fight a battle we can't win. That kind of efficiency is terribly low. If that's really the case, then when you're afraid, you shouldn't be angry. You forgive yourselves for avoiding battle, yet get angry at the person who points out the truth. And you call yourselves knights?" The captain cleared his throat. "If it weren't Sir Mark, we'd have stepped forward already." "Oh, really? You all look like you couldn't even beat thugs on the street." The captain's eyes sharpened instantly. Hand to chin, he fell silent. "What did you just say?" "I said you look weaker than street thugs." "My lady, watch your words. My patience has limits." Rosanna laughed softly. "Oh, really? You don't have to endure anything. Who exactly is enduring whom here? If the strongest ones here are this weak, then the Empire's only ducal knight order is truly pitiful. Even if the Emperor controls you, you should have at least the bare minimum. You're like a pack of wildcats that couldn't even catch a rabbit." The captain put a hand on his sword hilt. "If you truly doubt our strength, I can prove it to you right now. Of course I'm angry. I might miss and fail to cut the practice post. But we're still stronger than common thugs, aren't we? Shouldn't I let you witness that?" Rosanna's face did not change. "Do you not realize that what you're doing right now is worse than a thug's behavior?" She lifted her chin, eyes cold. "Are you drawing your sword?" The captain tightened his grip on the hilt. The blade slowly slid from the sheath with a harsh rasp. He forced calm into his voice. "If you say there's no need to prove anything, then we'll pretend none of this happened." Rosanna reached out and pressed down on his sword hilt. "No, when you've been treated unfairly, you should prove yourself." The captain roared. "You think I don't dare draw it? This is your last warning." Rosanna leaned closer, a teasing smile on her lips. "What is it, my?" Her voice was gentle, laced with mockery. "Can't pull out?" The knights shouted from behind. "What are you doing, Captain?" Cold sweat ran down the captain's face. "Am I supposed to just stand here? Hurry and show her our true strength." "Shut up, you idiots." "No, you wouldn't understand." The captain lowered his head, trembling, gripping the hilt. "Even I can hardly believe it. I've been completely suppressed by this lady." Rosanna looked at him. "Why? Did you want to say something?" This wasn't a question. It was danger. His answer would determine whether he lived or died. Since when had this lady become so powerful? Why had she hidden it? He knew nothing. For now, all he could do was obey. The captain's face was slick with sweat as he stammered. "And no, nothing." Then he abruptly dropped to one knee and bowed his head deeply. I beg your forgiveness, Lady Rosanna. Rosanna gave him a mild smile. Good. The knights stared in shock. Vice Captain, what are you doing? Getting fired over something this small? It's not like we have nowhere else to go. The captain spun around and glared at them. Shut up, all of you. Apologize to the lady. The knights looked stunned. Captain? The captain roared, if you don't want to die, apologize now. One knight muttered unwillingly. Honestly, if the captain says so. Lady Rosanna, we apologize. Whether in the past or now, to a knight, strength and status were everything. After today, they probably wouldn't cause trouble again. She hadn't convinced every one of them, but that didn't matter. The man at the top had already bowed his head to her. The captain rose. We'll take our leave. Shall I assign guards to escort you? Who will be guarding whom? Do we even need to ask? Rosanna remained expressionless. Why are you here? Weren't you off on an errand? The maid panicked slightly. While I was taking care of it, I ran into the butler. He said the Duke wasn't in, so I came straight back. But the atmosphere was a little hard to explain. Rosanna understood. So you saw it all. She stepped closer to the maid and asked softly, what's your name? Nervously, the maid answered, Riv. Rosanna repeated the name. Right, River. She handed the maid a diamond. I hope what happened just now won't get out. Riv nodded hard, clutching both hands to her chest. Of course. I'll keep my mouth shut. Rosanna smiled in satisfaction. Simple and direct. I like it. Anything money can solve isn't really a problem. Riv asked cautiously, my lady, shall I call a carriage for you? Rosanna closed her eyes. Your walking pace is too slow. A carriage is better. If the Duke can't come right away, and with the dismissals on top of it, the knights may talk about what happened today. Rosanna's voice stayed calm. It's fine. They won't go around publicizing something so humiliating. And they deserve one chance, don't they? Just like those maids. There's no need to call the Duke. People who care only about their pride will leave on their own. But if they feel even a little pressure, they'll at least be different from today. They're still knights, after all. The real issue is that there isn't a single knight who can actually fight. Who am I supposed to send to the duel? Standing by the carriage, Riv asked, my lady, why are you sighing? Shall I send the carriage back? Rosanna shook her head. No, looks like I'll have to do it myself. Riv's voice came from a distance. My lady, the date's been set already, and you're still sitting around like this? She threw her arms wide in distress. Then what are we supposed to do? We have to hire mercenaries. Rosanna turned her head. Mercenaries? Riv gestured excitedly. As long as we pay enough, we can even hire famous ones. We still have some money left from selling the Duke's things last time. Rosanna's eyes turned instantly cold. You want me to give money to those shameless beasts? Riv covered her mouth with both hands, horrified. What? Even when I've made mistakes, whenever you frown like that, my lady, it means you're truly furious. Those damn bastards always take the advance and run. Rosanna kept her eyes closed. Of course, they may not mean any harm. But rather than give money to mercenaries, I'd sooner give it to you. Moved, Riv clasped her hands together. My lady, to think you value me so much. Rosanna remained expressionless. Riv, don't worry so much. It's not a fight to the death. So what if I lose? But if you lose, your reputation will be damaged, my lady. Rosanna asked in return, what reputation do I have left to tarnish? Riv was briefly at a loss. Rosanna stretched, sunlight falling over her. Don't cling too hard to winning and losing. In life, you win some and lose some. Sometimes you even need to run away. It's not a big deal. Riv sighed, but still frustrating. The stakes in this duel are huge. No one's betting on you to win, my lady. What did you say? Riv jumped and covered her mouth. Tell me about this betting pool. Rosanna's eyes lit up. The stakes are high. Has betting already closed? How do I join? Do you know where it is? Riv stammered. Join? You're joking, right? Rosanna grabbed Riv by the shoulders. Remember when we sent the Duke the bill and then had that huge fight? I don't want to live like that again. I want some money. Riv stared at her in shock. Are you serious? Rosanna's gaze was firm. I am. Hurry. We have to get there before betting closes. Riv hurried after her. Why, yes, my lady. In a lavish hall filled with laughter, a hand gripped a quill and quickly wrote on parchment. I bet on Petrenga to win. 1 million gold. If only one side gets bets, that's hardly fair, right? Another person chimed in. Exactly. Betting on the loser is the same as throwing money away. A nobleman laughed scornfully. I organized this betting pool, but I didn't expect it to be this one-sided. I set it up because I trusted the Leylading name. The man continued, should we invite Miss Leylading to place a bet too? She'd probably bet on Petrenga as well. That would be quite amusing. The crowd burst out laughing. Surely she wouldn't do that. If she'd obediently married me back then, she wouldn't be suffering this humiliation now. How foolish. Miss Giselia is right. Of course the lady would doubt the strength of her family's knights. He looked over the betting list. This should be the list of bettors, right? Luckily everyone is betting on my side. Someone suggested, Miss Petringa, you should place a bet too. She feigned hesitation. Should I place one? She dipped the pen in ink. Then I'll bet 10 million gold on Petringa. The pen moved across the page. In support of Sir Mark, who fights for honor. Wow, the stakes are even higher now. How bold. Miss Giselia praised her. No one is more suited to be crown princess than you. You have more courage than any Abedia man. Congratulations in advance on your victory, Miss Petringa. Thank you, Miss Giselia. The crystal chandelier in the hall shook violently. The crowd looked up in alarm. What was that just now? It sounds like there's some commotion outside. We should go see at once. Rosanna's voice came from outside the door. I told them I wasn't attending the ball, but they kept asking for an invitation. I've already said it several times. I'm only here to place a bet. We'll waste a breath. She clapped her hands impatiently and strode in. A cry rose from the crowd. Lady lay-lating. A nobleman pointed at Rosanna in disbelief. Our Rosanna. Rosanna smiled and lightly waved her fingers. Ah, there you are. Her crisp voice rang out. 30 million gold, sir. The man froze where he stood. What? Rosanna's voice echoed through the hall. I bet on house lay-lating to win. I wager everything I have. The crowd stared at her in shock. Young lady, did you understand what you just said? The man looked blank. Huh, W, what did you just say? Pointing at him, Rosanna enunciated each word. I want it on this betting pool. The young noble could hardly believe it. No, that's not. Rosanna's gaze sharpened. Not what? Say it again. Who are you asking for? 30 million gold. Rosanna answered calmly. House lay-lating, of course. Should I be betting on the other side? Brina cried out. This is no different from House lay-lating declaring war on Sir Mark. Rosanna let out a faint laugh. I just found a betting pool amusing, so I joined. That's what you call a declaration of war? Rosanna turned her gaze to the betting slips. Then should all those who bet on Petringa also be considered to have declared war on our family? Brina instantly fell speechless. The room went dead silent. Not a sound could be heard. This is unbelievable. Miss Petringa, are you all right? Brina covered half her face with her fan. Never had she seen someone change so drastically. Once, Rosanna had been the Empire's only duke's daughter. Yet because she was illegitimate, she had been forced to hide in the corner of the ballroom, peeking at the barely noticeable Miss Lay-lating. Now, by sheer presence alone, she overwhelmed everyone in the room. Rosanna swept her gaze across the nobles. All as quiet as cicadas in winter. Why has everyone fallen silent? A smile curved at her lips. This is only an amusing bet. Surely we wouldn't become enemies of House lay-lating over so little money. Brina hurried to agree. Right? It's only for fun. I merely wanted to show support for Miss Petringa. We interact often, after all. Rosanna turned to the betting host. Then I understand. I just write the details of my wager here. The host stammered. Why, yes. Yes. Rosanna picked up the pen. I don't have anything I can put down as cash. What should I do? A signature would serve as collateral. Since what she was wagering was the honor of her house, it was worth more than tens of millions in gold. I thought I might have to raid the Duke's bedroom, but fortunately I don't. Then enjoy yourselves, everyone. Rosanna turned around, leaving behind a room full of stunned nobles. This uninvited guest will be taking her leave now. She strode out. Whispers broke out among the crowd. The Duke of Lay-lating is raising a tiger. Isn't he just? But seeing how confident she is, perhaps the situation may change a little. A maid hurried through the garden, her footsteps echoing on the stone path. This really is a mess. The maid bowed deeply. I am terribly sorry, my lady, but are you really all right? The duel starts tomorrow. And on top of that, an anonymous bettor placed 50 million gold on our side. If we lose and they hold a grudge. Rosanna cut her off. Stop bringing up mercenaries. The maid continued anxiously. At the very least, we need to find Hero. Everyone's laughing at you. They're saying you can't even find a knight. Rosanna's gaze was calm. I told you before, there are such things as proper defeats in life. The maid's voice shook. Then do you know that 30 million gold will go down the drain? Fire flared instantly in Rosanna's eyes. From now on, there will only be victory in my life. I will not tolerate any so-called proper defeat. The maid stared at her. To double that 30 million gold, we have to win. And to win, we need a knight. Rosanna murmured thoughtfully. The maid slapped a hand to her forehead in despair. That knight who came this morning may have been our last chance. My lady, at least you have to find hero. If you can't even find one hero. Rosanna sat upright, looking unconcerned. Even if that knight entered the duel, what would it change? The maid spread her hands. We at least have to try. And he stepped forward because he cared about you, my lady. Rosanna scoffed. Cared? How ridiculous. If he truly cared, he should have stood up before the rumor spread. Showing up when there's only one day left makes it obvious he just wants to seize a fighting position and earn a little credit. The Duke heard about it from the butler and personally went to the night order. That man almost got dismissed and had 6-month pay docked. Now he's only trying to make up for his mistake. Of course, it's commendable that he gathered the courage to step forward, but his true evaluation depends on his future efforts. The maid clasped her hands. I'll work hard too. Rosanna looked at her. Why are you so enthusiastic? This is my duel. The maid faltered. Oh well, that's because you've been too generous to me, my lady. If you make a huge profit from the bet. The maid's cheeks reddened as she dreamed of unexpected wealth. Maybe I might get a little extra benefit too. That was true, but hearing it put so bluntly. A faint smile tugged at Rosanna's lips. I like that you have a proper reason. The maid froze. What? Rosanna set down her teacup. If you had said something ridiculous, like suddenly claiming to like me or wanting to devote yourself to me, I would have thrown you out already. Her gaze sharpened. Keep speaking honestly like this in the future too. If you tell a lie that only sounds sincere, I'll throw you out immediately. The maid quickly bowed. Igriegajis. I'll remember that, my lady. Rosanna picked up her teacup. Just keep doing what you've been doing. By the way, did you get the key to the library? The maid became flustered. All right now, you should focus on the duel first. Rosanna's eyes darkened. Don't evade the question. Did you forget what we just talked about? The maid lowered her head. I really did try to get it. But the Duke told me to deal with the duel first. Because I placed an enormous bet without permission and still couldn't find a knight, he was furious. So I wasn't able to get it. Rosanna tapped lightly on her cup. What a petty man. More importantly, there's something I've found strange for a while now. Rosanna's gaze sharpened. How does everyone know I haven't found a knight yet? The maid held her forehead. That would be the rumors. Rosanna cut her off. What I want to know is where those rumors started. They may have leaked news of the duel, but the fact that I couldn't find a knight should only have been known internally. The maid jolted. That really is worrying. Rosanna waved a hand. Forget it for now. It seems our invited guest has arrived. A butler entered. Lady Rosanna, His Grace the Grand Duke of Bofies has arrived. Rosanna smiled faintly. Take him to the reception room and tell him I've been eagerly waiting for him. The butler bowed. Yes, my lady. The maid hurried after her. My lady, you've invited His Grace the Grand Duke. Could it be? Rosanna stood up. I can't let 30 million gold simply fly away. She pointed ahead. Kulme, let's go meet the hero who can double my 30 million. The chandelier in the reception room was splendid, the lighting soft. Rosanna sat down gracefully. Long time no see, Grand Duke. This is the first time we've met since that day, isn't it? Did something happen? Why are you hanging your head? No, never mind. You needn't worry. Today, I absolutely won't waver. Rosanna looked slightly puzzled. If that's so, then good. Zeadin sat upright, his gaze firm. No matter what expression she made, no matter what she said, he would not waver. Today, he absolutely would not be led astray by Rosanna lay-lating. Really? Rosanna looked at Zeadin. Then why did you only come now? Ever since you left in a hurry, saying you were busy, I've been waiting. Because you never contacted me. Zeadin jolted. His heart skipped a beat. Why? Why could she say something like that so casually again? Zeadin's face turned red in an instant, and he hurriedly covered it with a hand. Rosanna looked at him in confusion. Zeadin gave a light cough. More importantly, are you all right? Rosanna tilted her head slightly. What do you mean? You don't look very all right yourself, Grand Duke. Zeadin's gaze fell on her. I heard that after I left, Joseph came to see you. Rosanna nodded. Yes, he did. Zeadin's voice dropped lower. He probably told you not to see me again. That's right. Zeadin's eyes deepened. He had been blinded by his own circumstances and had never considered the Duchess's position. He knew the nobles kept their distance from him because they feared the Emperor's scrutiny, yet he had never once thought to restrain his own madness. Leylating stood at the core of the Emperor's faction, and as the Duchess of House Leylating, the pressure Rosanna bore could only be greater. Zeadin's gaze hardened. I will handle the curse of madness myself. What I told you. Rosanna's lips curled. You mean the 50 million gold? Grand Duke, Zeadin looked blank. What? Why are you suddenly bringing up 50 million gold? Rosanna leaned back on the sofa. Isn't it obvious? Miss Petringa may become the future crown princess, and the dueling knight is a former candidate for the royal guard. For those reasons, almost no one placed their bets on me. Zeadin said nothing. Rosanna leaned closer, her gaze sharp as a blade, which means there are even fewer people who could anonymously wager 50 million gold. Zeadin's eyes narrowed. Damn it, I even tipped the servants so they would place the bet on Rosanna. How did this happen? And I placed it anonymously. Rosanna looked straight at him. Why did you come today? What? What you just said could have been delivered by letter or messenger. So why today of all days? Why did you come to see me in person? Zeatin's breathing faltered. Rosanna smiled faintly. Zeatin pressed a hand to his forehead. It seemed he could hide nothing from this woman. He hadn't thought he was that easy to read. I heard you still haven't found a knight for the duel, Duchess. Rosanna crossed her arms. That's right. Zeatin continued. Normally, you would send a knight of your own house. But if you cannot find one, Rosanna nodded for him to go on. Zeatin's gaze turned resolute. I came today to lend you a knight from the House of Bofies. Rosanna slapped the armrest and stood up. No. She leaned forward, her eyes going cold. Why ruin everything at the final moment? That isn't what I was waiting for. Then, Rosanna fixed her gaze on him. For my duel, what I want is not the Grand Duke's knight order. She reached out and grabbed Zeatin's tie. I want you, Grand Duke, to fight in person. Zeatin's eyes widened in shock. Me? You wanted to take part in the duel, Duchess? A duel must be fought by a knight. You know that. Rosanna tapped his chest with a finger. And isn't the one who doesn't know what a knight is the Grand Duke himself? Rosanna's voice echoed through the spacious room. You are the commander of the 3rd Imperial Order of Knights, a man who has crossed battlefields year-round by the Emperor's command. In the entire Empire, is there anyone more knightly than a Grand Duke like you? Even mercenaries can participate in duels, yet you cannot? Doesn't that seem strange? Zeatin lowered his gaze. She was right, but even so, he could not appear himself. Zeatin looked up. Duchess, did you hear what I said earlier? Rosanna leaned back on the sofa. I did. A trace of helplessness colored Zeatin's voice. No, it seems you didn't understand. I'll say it again. I came today to apologize to you because you and your family have been put in danger because of me. Rosanna interrupted him. That is not your concern. That is a matter between the Imperial family and House Leylading. Zeatin insisted. You still don't seem to understand. Getting close to me will do you no good. A slight smile appeared at Rosanna's lips. It seems you keep thinking of others first. Duchess, what did you just say? Zeatin's thoughts fell into chaos. What was his feeling? He suddenly felt like a child. Fine. If he was so worried, then let this benefit her instead, just as she had helped him. Fragments of the past flashed through Zeatin's mind. Every gaze they had shared, every kiss, remained vivid. She helped me. If so, then surely this means. Zeatin's hand came to rest on Rosanna's shoulder. Though I don't know how this benefits you, Duchess, if this can become a reason for me to stay by your side, then as compensation for the trouble I caused, you must let me come to your side. You don't need to worry about Crown Prince Joseph's visit. The gold, yes. Rosanna shot to her feet. You have to gather all that gold and bring it back. Zeatin covered his ears with both hands. Don't be tempted. Don't be tempted. Don't be tempted. Don't be tempted. Rosanna's voice was calm and firm. Don't worry. Crown Prince Joseph came and told me not to approach you. I told him I'd handle it myself. Zeatin's cheeks reddened. What? You said that to the Crown Prince? Zeatin's expression darkened. And nothing happened? The moment I entered the palace, that man wanted me thrown out. He can't possibly have let it go at that, Rosanna said lightly. He threw a teacup, and I got angry too. Zeatin's face sank instantly. What? He threw a teacup at you, Duchess? Rosanna waved a hand dismissively. I threw one back. Zeatin pressed a hand to his forehead. You must be insane, throwing a teacup at you. Rosanna repeated, I told you. I threw one back too. Zeatin grabbed her shoulders. Were you hurt? You must have been frightened. Did you wake up in the middle of the night? Did any fragments cut you? Rosanna tried to calm him. I threw one back. Zeatin was no less worried. If you feel the slightest discomfort, go see a doctor immediately. If even a tiny shard is embedded, it could get infected. For a tiny splinter of glass, he was making that kind of face. Even when I was badly cut by an enemy's sword and covered in blood, I only worried about myself. I had never imagined someone would worry about me. The feeling was strangely unfamiliar. Rosanna said quietly, I'm fine. That's good. Zeatin pressed on. Other than throwing a teacup, what else did he do? Rosanna answered in an even voice, hero. He said he'd call a hero. That puppet of the Emperor threatened to kill me and wipe out the entire ducal family. Zeatin's eyes turned cold in an instant. The Emperor's puppet. What a vicious bastard. He strode toward Rosanna. But don't be afraid. Heroes can only be mobilized by the Emperor's command. Even if Crown Prince Joseph requests it, the Emperor would never summon a hero over a petty private matter like this. Zeatin stood before her. And no matter what order the Emperor gives, that man would never kill an innocent duchess. He's not that kind of person. Rosanna raised her head, surprise flickering in her eyes. That kind of person. Someone who would not slaughter the innocent. Zeatin's figure was reflected in her blue eyes. Zeatin touched his forehead. I can't say any more, but it's all right. You don't need to be so afraid. Rosanna looked at him quietly. I need to keep this man by my side. Grand Duke, I've thought it over. I still want you to take part in tomorrow's duel. Zeadin looked troubled. We're back to that again. If I appear as your knight, do you know what people will say? They'll certainly look at us and ask whether we're seeing each other, right? Yes, they'll ask whether we're seeing each other. Zeadin stared at her in shock. What? Rosanna folded her arms. What's the problem? Didn't we already agree that we'd be in love? Zeadin hurriedly shook his head. Duchess, that was Rosanna, interrupted him. You said you need me, but it seems you're not that desperate. Cold sweat beaded on Zeadin's face. That's not it. I want to take that hand right now. I'm doing everything I can not to be swept away. Rosanna's voice rang out. Grand Duke, if you're truly that desperate, then don't give up. Don't retreat. Rosanna looked straight at him. Don't worry about other people. Hold on to the end. Don't let go. She extended her hand toward him, sunlight outlining her figure like an irresistible holy light. Don't be drawn in. No matter how he warned himself, no matter how hard he tried to close his heart, he could not refuse her. Zeadin took Rosanna's hand. Bathed in light, the two faced each other. The long-awaited day of the duel finally arrived beneath bright sunshine. I chose the public training grounds run by the family as the stage for the duel and invited acquaintances in advance. Everything had been arranged. Lady Leylading, after today, you probably won't dare show your face in society for quite a while. Brina turned to face Rosanna. Welcome, Mississippi. Quite lively, isn't it? Everyone heard the rumors and came running. I couldn't very well drive them away, and I couldn't postpone the duel either, so I had no choice but to let them stay. I also invited Viscount Giselia, who oversees the betting pool, to serve as an impartial judge. With an impartial judge present, you can look down on this all you like, though the result won't change. You can accept these conditions, can't you, miss? Behind Rosanna, the maid was trembling with anger. The trap was painfully obvious. Rosanna remained expressionless. As you wish. They had even decorated the training grounds elaborately. Brina lifted her chin provocatively. Where's your knight? Don't tell me you still haven't found one. The maid behind Rosanna shook with rage. If not for the fact that you were a noble, Brina idly waved her fan. If you cannot produce a knight, then you lose. Then let us begin. A low male voice rang out. My apologies. I'm late. The crowd turned in shock. Rosanna shifted slightly. I only just arrived myself. It's fine. A confident smile curved Zeadin's lips. Then that's good. A sword hung at his waist. His eyes swept over the crowd, and his presence instantly suppressed everyone there. Brina's companions went pale. Why, Your Grace the Grand Duke, why are you here? Zeadin's gaze settled on Rosanna, his voice clear and resolute. To stand for Lady Leylading. Brina's expression changed. What? She demanded in disbelief. Grand Duke, why are you interfering in her affairs? Zeadin's eyes were cold. Do I need to explain myself to you? Brina bit down hard. And no, of course not. Impossible. He carries royal blood. He never interferes in disputes between nobles. So why this duel of all things? Why in front of all these people? If Sir Mark loses, then whispers rose in the crowd. My goodness, Miss Petrenga lost to that half-blood. Weren't you the one praising Sir Mark's strength the whole time? If he loses, it'll be unbearably humiliating. Brina shouted furiously, this isn't fair. He pointed at Zeadin. He's a member of the royal family, not a knight. Only knights can take part in a duel. Rosanna turned calmly, her voice quiet but carrying clearly through the entire venue. He's a knight. Brina cried out, Miss, this is absurd. Rosanna's voice was steady and powerful. The Grand Duke is a knight personally recognized by the Emperor with distinguished merit in war and judgment. Is the heir of House Petrenga trying to deny the knighthood the Emperor himself acknowledged? She stepped forward, eyes sharp. Are you implying disloyalty or treason? Brina's face went white. And no, of course not. Zeadin's voice sounded out. Then are we fighting or not? If all you want is to argue, tell me now. In that case, the lady has no need to waste time. Brina stammered, in no need. Flags around the dueling grounds snapped in the wind as the judge loudly declared the duel to begin. Sir Mark walked tensely toward the arena. His opponent had already been waiting. Mark gripped his sword hilt. It is my honor to cross blades with you, but I will not hold back. Zeadin's expression was calm. You first. Sir Mark drew a deep breath. Then forgive me. With a shout, he charged straight at Zeadin, sword coming down in a fierce slash. Zeadin did not move an inch. He did not even draw his sword, easily blocking the attack with the sheath alone. He hadn't even drawn his blade. A slight smile touched Zeadin's lips. Then it's my turn. With a twist of his wrist, he brought the scabbard down hard into Sir Mark's stomach with a heavy thud. Sir Mark let out a muffled groan of pain and was sent flying backward. He hit the ground hard. He passed out completely. Zeadin withdrew the scabbard and turned toward the referee. Announced the winner. The Viscount referee was still badly shaken. He cleared his throat and loudly announced, Grand Duke Bofies has defeated Sir Mark. Therefore, today's duel is won by Miss Leylading. The crowd erupted into cheers. Brina slammed both hands on the table. Impossible. How could Sir Mark lose so cleanly? Rosanna lifted her teacup. She blew on it lightly. Making money, is this easy? You can get rich just by betting on duels? The maid eagerly chimed in, exactly. Miss, Brina was trembling with rage. Rosanna, I hate her. Night fell, and moonlight spilled across the courtyard. Rosanna looked at the chest full of gold coins and let out a gasp of admiration. Rosanna looked at the pile of gold. All of this is mine now. Life really is one big gamble. The maid congratulated her excitedly. Congratulations, miss. With this much money, I can break the seal and leave the ducal estate. I can finally live freely. Rosanna scooped up a handful of coins, a satisfied smile on her face. Not yet, but soon. The maid leaned in and whispered, Miss, people outside are saying you and the Grand Duke are about to marry. Doesn't that bother you? Rosanna set the coins down. Why would it? The maid hesitated, but Rosanna suddenly spoke. River. The maid jumped. Yes, miss. Are you saying I was given too much of the reward? I know it's far beyond what I deserve, but Rosanna cut her off. That's not what I meant. I meant the key to the library. The maid suddenly understood. Rosanna raised a brow slightly. Do I look like the kind of miser who takes back a reward once I've given it? The maid hurriedly waved her hands. Absolutely not. You would never do something like that. Smiling, the maid handed over a key. Just in case, I've been carrying it with me. Are you going tomorrow morning? Rosanna took the key. I probably will. The maid replied brightly. Then I'll make preparations. I'll bring some snacks to the library too. Rosanna looked at her gently. All right, Riv, you've worked hard today as well. Get some rest early. The maid bowed deeply. Thank you, Mississippi. Please rest well too. She turned and left. She quietly closed the door behind her. Rosanna sat alone on the sofa, her gaze growing deep. Before I go out, I should be a little stingy first. Night blanketed the corridors of the ducal estate in silence and shadow. Carrying a lamp, Rosanna walked alone down the empty hall, her footsteps echoing crisply. This is the door. She stood before an ornate door. No one was around. Looks like the librarian has already gone home. She inserted the key into the lock. She turned it gently. How is my story told in this world? Rosanna pushed open the heavy door. She stood alone in the center of the vast library. How did the dragon-slaying expedition truly end? It's time to uncover the truth I've longed to know. Rosanna came quietly to the library, unwilling to leave any record of what she read. What she wanted today was the Empire's history. Rosanna set the borrowed books on the table. Just copying all this had already made her shoulders ache. These books held stories of heroes, wars, civil unrest, the dragon-slaying expedition. Rosanna opened the pages, her gaze intent. If the Imperial family had begun suspecting she was the hero, these records could become clues. The year His Majesty eradicated the heretics, the harvest was abundant. Even the gods were moved. His Majesty repelled the border invaders and reclaimed lost lands. Since then, the Empire's cries of distress vanished. The great Emperor led endless wars to victory after victory. This was the gods' blessing upon the Empire. There was an ocean of records, yet not a single line about the hero. There was not even any mention of the Yellow Dragon subjugation force Rosanna had joined at the end. Rosanna pressed a hand against the page. I should have known. There would be no record of me. Knights may bring honor, but in the end they are only knights. But to erase even the comrades who fought side by side with me makes no sense. At the very least, there should have been words like subjugation or campaign. Rosanna clenched her teeth at the thought. Then she suddenly looked up. A presence. It wasn't Duke Leylading. It wasn't Riv either. A strange presence. Rumors from the estate have been leaking out constantly lately. I intended to wait and see who was behind it, but Rosanna's eyes turned sharp in an instant. She spun around, sweeping out an arm and grabbing the shadow by the clothes with perfect precision. She flung the intruder hard and pinned them firmly to the floor. Her voice was cold as iron. Who sent you? Don't play games. Tell me who you're spying for. A choking sound rattled in the intruder's throat as they struggled in pain. Rosanna's fingers touched the other's palm. There were calluses there, but not the kind left by sword training. The voice was unfamiliar too. An assassin disguised as a new servant? Or maybe they sent a weak one on purpose to lower my guard. Rosanna looked down at him, her eyes completely cold. Refusing to talk even if it kills you? What admirable loyalty. Her arm suddenly tightened. The crack of breaking bone rang through the silence, and the intruder let out a horrific scream. A so-called spy screaming this miserably? Haven't you been trained to endure torture? Rosanna frowned slightly. Or, is this deliberate? I need a lamp to see his face. Better to knock him out first. Just as Rosanna's hand was about to strike, the intruder suddenly broke free and shoved her away. Scrambling wildly, he fled. Clumsy but fast, Rosanna braced herself on the floor and took a breath. Maybe this body's just too light. With such a weak body, if I had really wanted to catch him, he wouldn't have escaped. Still, forget it. He can't get past the guards outside. The marks on his neck will remain. It'll be easy to find him. Rosanna smoothed her skirt, a cold smile touching her lips. See you tomorrow, Mr. Spy. The maid greeted her with a smile. Good morning, Mississippi. You're going to the library this morning, right? Mr. Henry Austin, the librarian, heard about it. He said he'd personally guide you. Rosanna raised her teacup. I'm busy today. Another time. Her words abruptly stopped, and her gaze froze. A scarf completely out of season, as if hastily pulled from a storage room. A man stood beside the maid. He cleared his throat. Nice to meet you, Mississippi. I'm Henry Austin. His voice was hoarse, as though someone had grabbed him by the throat and he'd spent the whole night shouting. Rosanna's pupils shrank sharply. Could it be you? The maid explained softly, Miss, this is your first time meeting him, right? He used to be the Duke's adjutant, but was transferred to the library for health reasons. Rosanna let out a small sound. Henry smiled. I heard you received the key to the library. I thought it would be best if I guided you myself. So I came. The maid clapped excitedly. That's wonderful. Miss, just tell him what book you want to see. He'll find it right away. Rosanna's eyes narrowed. No, I was planning to find that spy today anyway. Since he delivered himself to me, all the better. As long as I can pull off that suspicious scarf. Rosanna looked up at Henry, her gaze sharp. Then I'll leave today's guidance to you. After all, you know the library best. Henry bowed. It will be my pleasure. The maid looked at Henry with admiration. Mr. Henry, I heard you even went to the library last night to arrange the new books. Henry lowered his head. Yes, but I left soon after. It was nothing much, just a little disturbance. Maybe a stray cat got in. Rosanna interrupted the maid. Riv, you should go make preparations. Stop chatting and go rest. The maid blinked in realization. Oh, you're right. Look at me, forgetting myself. I'll go prepare right away. See you at the library. Mississippi. Rosanna watched her leave. Good, go on. The door closed softly. Henry adjusted his scarf. Well then, miss, shall we? Rosanna stood where she was. All right. What a puzzling man. Wrapped up that tightly. Rosanna followed behind him as they walked one after the other. Henry led the way, explaining the state of the library. The books are currently arranged according to my preferences, so it may be a little inconvenient. We don't usually get visitors. If you tell me what genres or authors you like, I'll reorganize them. Rosanna followed behind him. Nothing comes to mind at the moment. We can discuss it later. Henry nodded. Understood. He came to see me this directly. Could he really not be a spy? Was he truly just the librarian last night? Did I really throttle an ordinary man? The Duke's former adjutant, no less. Henry continued. Also, for the sake of preserving the collection and because of my working hours, the library has fixed opening times. He pushed open the heavy library door. Rosanna answered softly, I understand. What if he just caught a cold? His voice is hoarse to protect his throat, and he's wearing the scarf for that reason. If I can just pull that scarf off. Henry suddenly turned around, his tone taking on a strange meaning. Especially at night, you should be careful anywhere in the estate, not just the library. After all, you never know when someone might suddenly pin you to the floor or grab your throat. A faint smile touched Rosanna's lips. Thank you for the warning. So was you. Henry cried out. Why are you suddenly? This floor brings back bad memories. He pointed at an empty spot on the carpet where there seemed to be an invisible outline of a body. You were lying there yesterday, so you weren't a spy? Rosanna asked, when did you start working here? Henry answered, the Austin family has served house laylating for generations. Since I was young, I helped my father with odd jobs. You requested a transfer to the library because of health problems. If this guy really were a spy, being moved to the library would be suspicious. Why give up a position handling the family's intelligence to work in an idle post? Henry went on, after my father died, I became the Duke's adjutant, but having ability doesn't always lead to good results. Miss, I'm only 4 years older than you. Becoming the Duke's adjutant at that age was already unusually early. Age doesn't matter for something like that. Her gaze sharpened. These are all books I read yesterday. I definitely put them back. How would he know? The odds of randomly picking these exact ones out of so many books. I have to see what's under that scarf. If he really is a spy, with no one else around, this is the perfect time to deal with him. Henry asked in confusion, Miss, what are you doing? She gave him a bright smile. I'm a little cold. Could I borrow your scarf? So it really was you. Miss, Henry suddenly threw a book. You're the one who grabbed my neck last night. Rosanna dodged in alarm. Am I some kind of target? Why does everything I run into get thrown at me? Got you. Henry's body was yanked forward. Gritting his teeth, he glared fiercely. Rosanna tipped her face up with a victorious smile. What a careless spy. Henry coughed violently. I'm not a spy. Rosanna shot back, not a spy. Then why, when I asked you to take off your scarf, did you throw a book? Henry struggled and pointed upward. Look, that book. Rosanna turned her head. What am I supposed to look at? A light children's book, barely any pages at all. So thin it wouldn't hurt even if it hit someone. Rosanna released him. Why didn't you say so earlier? You suddenly threw a book. Of course I thought you were a spy. Just like yesterday, when you ran off without a word. He coughed hard again. Say so earlier? You were choking me. How was I supposed to talk? And just now you were glaring at me like you were about to kill me. Throwing something was all I could do. Then why didn't you explain yourself properly instead of saying all those weird probing things? And how do you explain pulling out all the books I'd put back yesterday? Henry argued loudly. The books on the shelf were all in a mess. I was just trying to sort them again. As for testing you, that was because I wasn't sure. What if you really were the person from yesterday? So what if I was? Rosanna shot back. What do you mean, so what? Henry's face flushed red. Isn't it obvious? You did this to me. You have to take responsibility. He suddenly yanked open his collar, exposing his chest. A broom clattered to the ground. A male servant dropped to his knees in panic. I swear I wasn't peeping. I was just cleaning. I really didn't know you two were that kind of relationship. And no, I am sorry. Truly, terribly sorry. Henry roared as he chased after him. I'm going to catch you. Get back here. Rosanna lightly caught hold of his collar. Forget it. Henry whipped around in agitation. Forget it? If rumors spread that I have an improper relationship with you, Miss, Rosanna asked calmly, you don't like that? Henry looked utterly confused. What? Rosanna repeated herself. I'm asking whether you dislike that kind of rumor. Henry looked away. So the young lady is that kind of person. I'd only heard she was a half-baked princess, pitiful and incompetent. But seeing this aura in person, who would dare say such things? That overwhelming presence hardly seemed human. Rosanna crossed her arms. Besides, with those weak, useless legs of yours, you wouldn't have caught him anyway. Henry's body went rigid at once. My legs are strong. Rosanna glanced at him. I checked them last night. Did you forget? Henry's face instantly turned crimson. That was Rosanna turned away. In any case, that's not important right now. You don't need to worry about it for the moment. Henry followed after her. Then what is important right now? Rosanna stood beside a chair, one hand on its back. Isn't there something you still need to say to me? Exquisite tea and snacks sat on the table, fruit tarts and macarons. Rosanna gestured for Henry to sit. Relax. You don't need to mind me. Henry sat stiffly. Yes, Mississippi. More importantly, what you were about to say earlier. Rosanna tapped the tabletop with her fingertips. There's one more thing to discuss. Riv's interruption nearly made me forget about last night. Did you mention it to the Duke or anyone else? Henry immediately straightened up. On my family's honor, absolutely not. Rosanna tilted her head slightly. Oh, how do you make this type keep quiet? Knights can be handled with force. A purse can be solved with enough jewels. But from experience, people like this are hard to buy off with material things. If surveillance goes wrong, sometimes you even have to kill them. Are you thinking about how to get rid of me right now? Rosanna admitted it at once. I have to say, you're very perceptive. The way you were staring at me was far too obvious. He put a hand to his forehead. I truly had no intention of exposing your secret, Mississippi. Though I don't know why you wish to keep it hidden. Then what are you trying to say? Beg me to spare your life? Henry stared into his teacup. I won't entrust my life to a passing whim of yours. Then what do you want? Please allow me to serve you. That way I'd have no reason to betray you, wouldn't I? Rosanna lifted her teacup and thought for a moment. I don't want that. Henry's pupil shrank. W.Y.? You don't like the idea? Rosanna set down her cup. If you decide to run while you're by my side, wouldn't that be the end of it? Keeping you near me would only give me more chances to catch your weaknesses. And if you gain nothing from me, isn't the limit of your loyalty obvious? I know very well how hollow a one-sided exploitative relationship is. I know it better than anyone. Henry leaned forward. What if it isn't one-sided exploitation? Miss, there is something most important to me, something only you in the entire empire can grant me as a reward. Rosanna raised her eyes. Then tell me first. Henry's gaze turned earnest. My family's honor ended with my generation. Rosanna's brow lifted slightly. Honor? Just as I said, our Austen family has served house lay-lading for generations. But in my generation, that honor was interrupted. Henry clenched his fists. I believe that once I grew up, I'd once again serve the Duke. But once you leave, it's not so easy to come back. Of course, hiring me would help house lay-lading. But what I want is to restore the Austen family's honor and the pride of serving house lay-lading at close hand. Rosanna remained expressionless. I don't need you. Henry hurriedly protested, but I'm very capable. Do you want me to praise you? I'm very good at errands too. Riv alone is enough for that. Henry abruptly stood up. I know your secret, Mississippi. Do you want me to kill you right now? He laughed. If you kill me, how will you deal with the aftermath? A clerk disappearing for too long will be noticed. Henry spread his hands. Besides, you don't seem like the type who could kill an innocent person and still sleep soundly afterward. I wanted to refute him, but every word was true. Henry struck a confident pose. Please keep me by your side. I'm intelligent, meticulous, and steady on my feet. Talents like me aren't common. He found a book I'd left out yesterday, which means he has a good eye. He dared to be this bold, even knowing he might die, which means he has nerve. Used properly, he wouldn't make a bad subordinate. Rosanna asked, let me ask you something. Even if you didn't know my secret, if the Duke had other children besides me, would you still serve me? Henry closed his eyes, as if the answer were obvious. What are you saying? Of course not. Rosanna pressed him. Why? Henry opened his eyes. Miss, you possess such power, yet you've hidden it all this time and still ask me to keep that secret. That means you have no intention of drawing the Duke's attention. That's right. So you mean you'd only serve me because I'm the sole heir? If that were all, shouldn't you have come to me long ago? The power of house leylating is more like authority granted by the court. If the head of the house cannot hold its center, they become a puppet of the court. It's an unpleasant truth. Henry stroked his chin. Based on rumors alone, I once thought the next head of leylating would be swallowed by the court. But after seeing you with my own eyes, I'm certain you would resist even the emperor himself rather than submit. No wonder your family has served as aides for generations. You understand the essence of leylating well. So here's the conclusion. Keep my secret well. If it leaks, you'll be the first one suspected. I'll tell the Duke to find himself a new clerk. Then, if your answer had been different just now, I would not have kept you by my side. So don't forget it. Your ambition to restore your family's honor and the resolve you just showed to serve me for that purpose alone. Henry bowed deeply. I will follow you until the very end. Henry lowered his gaze. If, as you said, there were other candidates for heir, my life would mean nothing to you. In other words, if I didn't know your secret, I wouldn't serve you. But if I do know that secret, then no matter how many children the Duke has, I would choose you. Because no one could surpass you as head of the house. No, miss, you would not stop at merely becoming head of the house. Wherever you stand will become the very summit of the empire. Rosanna looked at the rapturous smile on Henry's face. Why are you smiling so disgustingly? It's nothing. Rosanna abruptly changed the subject. Then I'll give you your first task. Consider it a small test. Do you remember the servant who was cleaning just now? Do you remember his face? Of course. Rosanna raised one finger. Bring him to me. Oh, and don't go alone. Take a few nights with you. Didn't you just say it'd be fine? She leaned forward and lowered her voice. He's a spy. His presence was very distinctive when he came close. We almost killed the wrong person. Henry's face turned pale. Hey, why are you only telling me now? He turned and bolted from the room. I'll see to it at once, me. Rosanna's voice came from behind him. If the knights are slow to respond, go to the captain of the order and give him my name. Was he sent by the crown prince? Or by some other force watching the ducal house? Or someone who suffered heavy losses because of this duel? Rosanna picked up a tart. We'll know once we catch him. She put the dessert into her mouth. Not bad. Rosanna closed her eyes, looking blissful. So delicious. How can it be this soft and sweet? I just had dessert, and I still want more. The maid stood off to the side. I heard the head chef put a lot of effort into developing a new dessert. Rosanna handed a gold bracelet to Riv. Give this to the chef. Tell her it's a token of my appreciation for always making such delicious new sweets. She added in a teasing voice, and don't you dare pocket it for yourself. Riv smiled in reply. Of course not. Mississippi Rosanna licked the fork. And bring me another plate of pancakes while you're at it. Suddenly, she sensed something and turned her head slightly. A maid opened a parasol. Miss, is the sunlight too strong? I'll hold an umbrella for you. Another maid took out a fan. Isn't it too warm? Until you're finished eating, I'll fan you. Rewards really are important. If someone is lazy in their work, you have to consider whether the compensation is enough. Diligence needs motivation. Riv hurried over. Miss, I'm back. The chef wanted to come thank you in person, but I told her to do that another time. I made sure to tell her there was no need to come now. Rosanna nodded in satisfaction. Well done. Tell her to use the time she would have spent greeting me to study even better desserts. Riv set down a plate of pancakes. These are just made. Unlike usual, these use raspberries and wild strawberries to create a fresher flavor. Rosanna, however, remained expressionless. I want to taste them already. Riv's expression turned grave. On my way here, I heard they still haven't caught that spy. They say even the Duke himself has gotten involved. Miss, you really should stay inside. Find somewhere safe. Rosanna cut her off. Riv, wherever I am is safe. The maids looked at each other. They were baffled. You're right. Mississippi Rosanna speared a strawberry with her fork. It seems I've really neglected my training. Catching a single spy is taking this long, even after I told him exactly who he was. I need to reflect on that. Rosanna's blue eyes snapped open, flashing with cold light. Every time I try to eat in peace, trouble comes looking for me. A flash of light streaked past. Rosanna flung her knife and fork. My hand slipped. A scream rang out. The maids gasped. Miss, please go back inside. Hurry. Rosanna remained seated. It's fine. The knights are on their way. The maids looked around. The knights? Where? Rosanna's gaze stayed calm. They're here. A knight rushed in front. Miss, are you unharmed? The maids stared at the charging knights. There really are knights. The knight continued. Miss, there's a spy in the ducal estate right now. Rosanna cut him off. The spy is over there. The captain of the knights drew in a sharp breath. That spy. How'd he end up like that? Rosanna turned coldly toward him. Is there a problem? The captain immediately bowed. And no, Mississippi. He turned and ordered his men. We found the spy. Report to the Duke. Ask him to come here. One knight departed at once. The captain and the Duke's party approached head-on. An attendant reported to the Duke. We've finally caught him. What an arrogant bastard. The captain beside the Duke looked troubled. Duke, although we've caught him, there's a bitter problem. The Duke frowned. What problem? Speak clearly. The captain flinched. The captain stammered out an explanation. The spy's hand has been pinned in place by a table knife. We can't pull it out. The Duke exploded. What did you say? Because of one damn knife, you've all become this useless? The spy, pinned to the tree, wailed in agony. Please, pull out. The captain was sweating heavily. Yes, exactly like that. The Duke looked around. Who did this? Where did that thing even come from? His gaze passed over the crowd and landed on the dining table in the distant courtyard. His eyes froze. Why is Rosanna there? Could it be? Rosanna noticed the Duke's gaze and lifted her chin slightly. What is it? Do you have something to ask? He stared at Rosanna. Rosanna, was it really you? Rosanna answered casually. So you're here. My knife flew out while I was cutting pancakes. I was wondering where it had landed. The Duke cried out in shock. What? That's absurd. That force? No. If it's the strength that grabbed my wrist the day the engagement was broken off, then it's more than possible. Of course, what happened that day was an accident caused by my carelessness. I imagine this spy suffered a similar accident. If you want to pull out, I won't stop you. The Duke looked troubled. The knife seems to be buried very deep. Don't do anything rash. Rosanna cut him off. Duke, what are you saying? Why would you pull it out? Then what are you going to do? The spy let out a terrified shriek. Help, help! The Duke shouted in panic. Rosanna, what are you doing? Rosanna's voice was calm as still water. He's a spy, after all. We can interrogate him while he's like this. The spy's scream tore through the air. It hurts. I said it hurts. Rosanna looked around at everyone. What are you all doing? Interrogate him already. Don't you want to know whose orders he's following? The Duke roared at the spy. Speak. On whose orders did you infiltrate this place? If you don't talk, I'll kill you right now. The spy remained stubborn. Then do it. Kill me if you can. Rosanna shoved the Duke aside. Move. Why are you doing this? Rosanna's tone was gentle. Kill him? Why would we kill him? If he doesn't care about his life anymore, would he fear death? If you slit his throat cleanly and quickly, he might even thank you for it. Rosanna sounded completely unconcerned. Fine. Scream all you like. She looked up at the spy. Do you know what will happen if you don't answer properly? I'll tell you now. Listen carefully. The first thing you'll do is this. Endure until tomorrow morning. A dim light gleamed in Rosanna's blue eyes. We won't assign anyone to guard you. You can't escape anyway. When the sun comes up, we'll hang your other hand too. The height? Just enough to keep you standing on your toes, I suppose. After that, we'll take turns hanging your legs as well. How's that sound? The spy trembled. You vicious what? I'm just an ordinary spy. The observing knights exchanged glances. That much was true. Rosanna looked down at him. Answer properly while you still have the chance. Who sent you? The spy shuddered. Give me some time to think. No, I won't give you time. The rest of you disperse. Rosanna turned and ordered, just as I said, tomorrow change to the other hand and adjust accordingly. Understood? The knights answered in unison. Yes, miss. Seeing everyone about to leave, the spy shouted desperately, wait. About who sent me? I have something to say. The magic tower. It was the magic tower. The magic tower sent me. Rosanna's profile fell into shadow. Her expression was unreadable. In the beginning, it was the mages acting on the Emperor's orders who sealed me. And it was also on the Emperor's orders that they summoned me out whenever they wished. So the ones most likely to expose my identity first are mages. That is why I've always tried to avoid mages whenever possible. And yet now, of all times, The magic tower has sent a spy. I really do have ill-fated ties with mages. The question is whether the magic tower sent a spy because they suspect my existence, or whether they have been watching Leylading all along. Tomorrow's interrogation will reveal the answer. If it's the latter, then I must learn why the magic tower is restraining Leylading. Either way, my future actions will be limited. Rosanna stood alone by the window. Maybe she was feeling unsettled. I really want a drink. With you gone, there's no one left to share a drink in your memory. We promised that if we ever met again, we'd gather and drink together. Around the campfire, her former comrades had once raised their cups high. Could that promise truly never be kept? Henry placed a hand over his chest and bowed slightly. Please allow me to formally introduce myself once more. I am Henry Austin. Starting today, I will serve as your aide. I will do everything in my power to ensure that all is perfect. Would you like me to feed the fish for you? Rosanna stood by the pond with the maids, casually scattering fish feed. No need. This is my hobby. You're earlier than I expected. Henry stepped closer. That's thanks to your directly instructing the Duke. A faint smile appeared on Rosanna's lips. I don't think it was because of me. He seems to value you highly. If he had waited any longer, he likely would have reassigned you back to his side. Henry's eyes were resolute. I'm grateful for his esteem, but I have no intention of changing my decision now. May I begin my report at once? Rosanna turned to one of the maids. River. Yes. Miss, as expected of an elite. Very well. Henry opened a folder. I will begin my first report. Let's see how this precious satchel of honor performs. His real name is Kyrie. It has been confirmed that he is a mage from the Magic Tower. He entered the tower 15 years ago. He has no swordsmanship whatsoever, and because his magic power was too low, his position there remained obscure. How long has he worked for this house? 13 years. When a family hires servants, don't they usually test for magical power? A person with magic willing to do low-paid work must have another motive. Exactly. According to the records at the time, he passed the test. The knights suspect his magical power was simply too low to be detected. But I don't think that's the case. Rosanna's lips curved faintly. Then how do you think he passed? Aren't the devices used to detect magic power made by the Magic Tower? Naturally, they leave loopholes for situations like this. Rosanna gave a soft laugh. Mages are usually like that. Henry asked carefully then, does it mean I passed? Rosanna folded her arms. Henry's face stiffened. You thought the same thing before hearing my opinion, didn't you? You asked only to see whether I'd say something stupid. Rosanna admitted it openly. That's right, but I had no intention of punishing you. I only wanted to see where your limits were. More importantly, what did the Duke say? The Duke? You mean that Duke? Henry seemed thoughtful. So you call him the Duke. I've heard he ignored you for many years. It seems he owes you quite a debt. At the moment, he is investigating the household servants, focusing especially on those close to him. After all, there could be other spies. He has also contacted the Magic Tower, demanding an explanation. Rosanna pressed, but there's been no reply. Henry nodded. That's right. The spy sent 13 years ago definitely has nothing to do with me, so there's no need to rush. Let the Duke handle it himself. Only that way will he grow, even if only a little. Rosanna turned her face aside. Who is the current tower master? Henry answered, a man named Ilian. Even within the Magic Tower, he is an extremely mysterious figure. It is said that, aside from a very small number of people, almost no one has seen his true face. He can switch between the appearance of an old man and that of a child, and no one knows his real age. Rumor has it he is one of the greatest geniuses in the Magic Tower's history. To alter and maintain one's appearance at will means his innate magical power must be enormous. Rosanna's gaze sharpened. If we're facing a mage like that, he may see through us instantly. We must be careful, Henry suggested. Shall I investigate the Tower Master further? Rosanna raised a hand to stop him. No, there's no need. That's the Duke's job, not mine. A servant came running up. Miss Rosanna, a guest has arrived. It's the Duke, isn't it? Have him wait at the front gate. The servant hesitated. Not in the drawing room. Rosanna started walking. I'll go to the gate myself. Henry bowed. Understood, Mississippi. Then he asked, shall I have a carriage prepared for you? Rosanna gave him a sidelong glance. Why? Henry looked puzzled. Didn't you say you were going to the gate? Rosanna strode forward. It's right ahead. Why call for a carriage? Henry stood there blankly. Right ahead. Without turning back, Rosanna gave the order. Riv, let's go. 3 maids immediately crouched down, taking the position used as human stepping stools. In unison, they answer, miss. We're ready, Rosanna said lightly. Let's go. Yes, Mississippi. Behind her, Henry followed with a bewildered expression. Perhaps I should exercise more as well. The sunlight was harsh. Zeadin and his knights had already been waiting a long time. One knight complained, on such a hot day, making us wait at the gate without any shade, and this late too. Is this their polite way of telling us to leave? Another knight rebuked him quietly. That's too rude. Zeadin folded his arms, displeasure on his face. That's not something to say at someone else's gate. All of you quiet. Even so, the one suffering most right now is me. She doesn't seem like someone who toys with others. So why is she so late? Zeadin's arms tighten little by little. If this goes on, my frenzy will reach its limit. Tighten, sever. If the young lady changes her mind, I'll have no choice but to rely on a magic tool again. His reddish eyes contracted sharply. A crisp metallic sound rang out. What was that sound? We're far from the training grounds. The gate slowly opened, and a voice drifted out. Have you been waiting long? At that voice, Zeadin whipped around. Miss. Rosanna stood behind the gate, her figure graceful. She lightly brushed aside a strand of hair. Rosanna lowered her gaze. My body is weak, so I arrived late. I didn't expect to need to rest on the way. That was my mistake. The attendants protested breathlessly. You are not weak at all, Mississippi. You're quite strong. Zeadin looked confused. Did you walk all the way here? From where? Rosanna replied softly. I took a little walk in the back garden. So even ordinary people get tired from walking such a short distance. No wonder Henry wanted to call a carriage. Zeadin asked with concern, Miss, are you all right? Rosanna's body swayed. Maybe I'm overacting. She tipped backward. The maid cried out, Miss. Zeadin reacted instantly and caught her in his arms. He allowed a quiet sigh. It can't be helped. He gazed down at Rosanna in his arms. Just touching her makes my worn-out soul feel cleansed. Without you, Miss, I'm afraid I can no longer endure by relying on magic tools alone. Rosanna opened her eyes. I'm all right now, Duke. The pain has passed. Zeadin released her. Forgive me. No, Duke. It wasn't your fault. It was my mistake. After walking such a long distance, of course my legs felt weak. The maids and Henry exchanged looks. Mrs. Acting is terrible. Perfect. A performance at this level will definitely fool everyone. Zeadin asked, is the carriage for the return trip ready, or shall we ride together in one? Rosanna looked up. I'll ride in your carriage, but I'm not going back to the estate. Zeadin looked puzzled. What do you mean? I asked you here today for a date. A date? Rosanna looked straight at him. Yes, you and I, Duke. I nearly forgot. On the surface, we have to act like lovers. That way we can meet more often. Zeadin's cheeks warmed slightly. So this outing is just another act as well. I thought we would stroll around casually and then discuss serious matters in the carriage. But here by the sunlit riverside, couples were rowing boats while laughter rang everywhere. This was a date spot for real lovers. The young lady's thoughts are truly hard to grasp. Zeadin covered his flushed face with the back of his hand. For the sake of appearances, isn't this a bit too much? Could it be that she really... Rosanna's voice cut through his thoughts. Duke, why are you so stiff? She asked softly. Are you afraid of water? Do you have hydrophobia? Zeadin murmured. Afraid of water? Rosanna continued. You could tell me honestly. We've already shared far bigger secrets. There's nothing embarrassing about something like that. Zeadin's gaze passed over her shoulder. Rather than asking whether I'm afraid of water, it'd be more interesting to ask whether water is afraid of me. I chose the wrong place. You don't need to feel sorry. Rosanna lightly patted his shoulder. If you're afraid, we don't have to ride in a boat. We can just walk along the shore. Zeadin cut her off. Miss. He suddenly grabbed her hand. Speaking one word at a time, he declared, there's something you need to know. In this world, there is nothing I fear. Rosanna looked a little surprised. Oh. Zeadin's voice was low and forceful. So don't treat me like a child. And don't use those delicate little hands of yours to soothe me. He held her hand tightly, his eyes sharp as blades. Why does he seem angry? Is it because I suggested we skip the boat? Rosanna smiled brightly. All right, then let's go boating. I thought you didn't want to. Zeadin looked flustered. Miss, that's not what I meant. Rosanna took his hand and led him toward the dock, asking the boatman, may we rent a boat? The boatman replied warmly, of course. Will you be needing a boatman? I chose this place precisely to force out the truth. If the boatman stayed on board, an important conversation would be impossible. It was a conversational tactic. If I make the Grand Duke row himself, will he hate me for it? Rosanna shook her head. We won't need a boatman. I can do it myself. Are you all right? Zeadin took a pouch of gold coins from his waist and handed it to the boatman. It's nothing. He stepped forward first, planting his feet firmly onto the small boat. Zeadin held out his hand. If you don't trust me, I'll prove it to you. Rosanna placed her hand in his palm. She bent toward the edge of the boat, her fingertips lightly brushing the water and stirring rings of ripples. So this is its color. I had almost forgotten. All I had seen in the past was it stained red with blood. It's beautiful. Zeadin's voice came from behind her. Are you enjoying it? Rosanna came back to herself. Ah, the wind feels nice. He tucked a strand of golden hair behind her ear. A smile touched her face, but there wasn't any wind just now. Did you do that, Your Grace? Zeadin answered calmly. I wanted to find somewhere quiet. That's true, Rosanna asked curiously. But how do you know how to row? Isn't that the sort of thing you leave to your subordinates? Zeadin explained, I read about it when I was young. I practiced too. Rosanna pressed further. Why did you need to learn rowing as a child? Zeadin opened a parasol to shield her from the sun. You never know. They might throw me onto a deserted island at any time. I didn't just learn rowing. I desperately learned every survival skill I could because I didn't want to die. Rosanna's gaze turned complicated. Are you talking about the Emperor? Zeadin glanced around. My lady, even if no one can hear, Rosanna cut him off. So what if I say the Emperor's name directly? He isn't here. Zeadin gave a faint snort. Since we've come this far, let's talk. I still don't know, my lady, what exactly it is you want from me. You once said that one day you would grant me a wish, even if it were the Emperor's head. Zeadin's gaze sharpened. Do you really intend to ask for the Emperor's head? Just as you said before. If not that, then to calm my madness, to keep Lady Leylading by my side. Aren't all of those things only to my benefit? Rosanna replied lightly. If you only look at the surface, I suppose so. Zeadin echoed. Only at the surface? Rosanna's eyes went cold. Grand Duke, you should know better than anyone that the Emperor raised House Leylading to its current position only so he could use us as his puppets. I used to hate how the Leyladings serve the Emperor like dogs, as if we owed him that. The way he acts as though he would never dare disobey his orders disgusts me. I can't understand him at all. Those slender wrists, those small shoulders, they look as if they would snap with a little force. The corner of Rosanna's lips curved upward. If that loyal dog of his started associating with someone he hates, how do you think he would feel? His guts would probably twist themselves into knots. Just imagining it is enough to help me sleep soundly. But why do I feel this way when I look at her? Bottomless anger, instinctive fear, and awe. It feels familiar, but I can't remember why. Zeadin's voice lowered. What if the Emperor abandons House Leylading? Rosanna answered easily. He doesn't have a nerve. His mental state wouldn't allow it either. So you don't need to worry about me, Grand Duke. I told you before. She stared straight at Zeadin. Never let go, even if it makes the other person uncomfortable. Even if that person is me. All right, Grand Duke. Now it's your turn. Zeadin frowned. My turn for what? Rosanna looked at him directly. I answered your question sincerely. Now it's your turn to answer mine. Zeadin replied openly. Ask. I'll answer. Rosanna spoke slowly. Recently, I've been studying Imperial history, and your story came up in it. But while reading, one question came to mind. About 10 years ago, when you were part of the Furious Dragon Subjugation Force, what exactly happened that led to the destruction of the entire expedition? Zeadin's pupils suddenly contracted. A violent aura burst out at once. That incident, he lurched sharply forward. Zeadin shouted in alarm. My lady, Rosanna said, the sunlight is too strong. You should use a parasol too, Grand Duke. Zeadin stared at her with copper-red eyes. Thank you, my lady. Thanks to you, I escaped disaster. I was distracted by those memories and ignored the killing intent. If not for you, that arrow would already have gone through my head. 3 small boats, 6 assassins. Zeadin called softly, my lady. He wrapped an arm around Rosanna's waist. Forgive me. Zeadin held her tightly in his arms. This is the first time, isn't it? My lady. His other hand lashed out, and a shadow-like burst of energy shot forth in an instant, piercing straight through one of the assassin's boats. You must have lived a life untouched by the smell of blood. What happened today may become a lasting trauma for her. Perhaps today will be the last day, if I can manage it. Rosanna lightly tapped his chest. Grand Duke Zeadin came back to himself. What was I thinking just now? He lost focus again, while holding my lady of all times. Am I being eaten away little by little? I'm sorry, Rosanna abruptly pushed him away. The boat rocked violently. Zeadin dropped onto the planks. What happened, he said. The boat shook, so I fell. The boat shook? No, that isn't important right now. That's right, you fool. Pull yourself together. Zeadin steadied himself again. My lady, listen carefully. It seems someone heard that I was here and sent assassins. This sort of thing is commonplace for me, so I always have to be ready for danger. That means being with me is dangerous. From this moment on, Rosanna cut him off. This is an emergency, right? Yes, exactly. Then go. We can talk again after you deal with it. Zeadin blinked. I thought she would definitely be frightened. Does she trust me to protect her? Zeadin rose to his feet. Please wait here, my lady. I'll return once I'm done. As soon as the target disappears, this boat will be safe. Rosanna smiled and waved him off. Go. Zeadin's figure blurred into an afterimage as he instantly stepped onto the enemy boat. A flash of light, blood spraying like arrows. Zeadin's blade tore through the air. Blood splashed. Rosanna watched quietly. It feels different from before. No matter how hard a life he lived, the killing intent on his sword was always heavy. And there's that faint thrill mixed into it. Zeadin's pupils turned golden, and a bloodthirsty smile rose at the corner of his lips. Furious dragon. I see. That's why he managed to survive the Emperor's endless torment all the way until today. If I don't help him, will he lose control? Like that arrogant lizard intoxicated by slaughter. A hand suddenly reached out from behind and covered Rosanna's mouth. A dagger pressed against her neck. The assassin threatened in a low voice. Scream, and I'll kill you. Drop what's in your hand. Do as you're told. Rosanna's blue eyes narrowed sharply, cold as frost. I could have pretended not to notice and simply left, but they made a foolish choice. Since they can't beat the Grand Duke, they want to take me hostage? I'm guessing you never considered. Rosanna pulled out her hairpin. I told you not to move, the assassin growled, but she drove the pin backward straight into his chest. Her movement was clean and decisive. The assassin lowered his head in disbelief as blood poured from the wound. Rosanna's gaze was icy. Be quiet. You're going to die anyway. She gripped the parasol. If I pull the weapon out, the blood will flow even more. Rosanna yanked the parasol free, drawing a streak of blood with it. The assassin's corpse fell into the water with a splash. You tried to kill me first, so don't feel wronged. This parasol and hairpin both need to be thrown away. They've got too much blood on them. Rosanna tossed the blood-stained parasol into the water with graceful finality. Zeadin's voice rang out. My lady. He stepped onto the small boat. Are you all right? I heard something just now. Rosanna looked utterly composed. Nothing happened. I think I accidentally dropped the parasol. Zeadin's gaze swept over her empty hands. Was that sound a parasol falling? Rosanna's expression did not change. Yes, someone jumped off that boat and swam away. It startled me, so one of them swam over here. Zeadin looked at the water. It seems he saw me and ran. If I'd been any later, it could have been bad. They appear to have intended to lay hands on you and then escape. Rosanna picked up the oar. Are you going after them? Zeadin shook his head. No, your safety is more important now, my lady. I'll take you back to the ducal estate. Rosanna grabbed Zeadin's hand. I'm really fine. Let's stay out a little longer. Zeadin looked at her. Next time, let's take another outing then. For now, you should go back and rest. Even if you aren't hurt, you must have been frightened. So they're sending me back to rest just like this. Do they really think I'm that fragile? They never used to worry this much. Even if I were stabbed, they would only order me back onto the battlefield. The more I think about it, the more annoyed I get. Zeadin spoke up. My lady, are you truly all right? It was your first time seeing assassins. You must have been terrified. This was my fault. Rosanna gave a light cough. I already told you I'm fine. And besides, this wasn't exactly my first time. Besides, even if I've been frightened, how could that be the Grand Duke's fault? This is all because the Emperor keeps sending people like that. Zeadin's cheeks flushed faintly. He allowed a soft laugh. Your answers are always unexpected, my lady. But you asked earlier what happened to the furious dragon subjugation force. Yes. Zeadin's eyes deepened. You were the first person ever to ask me that. Even if others were curious, they always let it pass. Rosanna answered plainly. I simply can't stand not knowing. Since I'm the one responsible for treating your madness, I naturally have the right to know. And besides, though my answer earlier may have sounded casual, I took a considerable risk in saying it. Rosanna looked at Zeadin's bloodstained shirt. I know exactly how dangerous it is to speak of the Emperor that way. Zeadin's gaze sharpened. From now on, you'd better forget everything I said just now. If you ever say it aloud, it will be dangerous. Rosanna gave a slight wave of her hand. Zeadin began his story. 10 years ago, I joined the furious dragon subjugation force. It was called a subjugation force, but in truth there was no hope of survival. It was basically a death sentence. Then the Emperor brought in a strange woman and declared that she would lead us. This is the hero you heard about from Crown Prince Joseph, a truly remarkable person. The moment I saw her, I felt awe. It was like meeting an angel. Rosanna interrupted him. Wait, the first time you saw her, how did you know she was a hero? Zeadin's gaze fell on Rosanna. Perhaps because royal blood runs in my veins as well. Heroes obey only the Emperor's commands, you know. They are bound by royal blood. So when someone with royal blood meets a hero, they feel something strange. as if they are inseparably connected by nature. Yet I had never seen anyone dare oppose the Emperor to his face. He recalled the scene. The hero said to the Emperor, "No, I only came to help." "What do you mean, since I'm here I have to fight immediately?" Zeatin's thoughts returned to the present. "Of course, that's only my guess. I heard it from my father when I was young. I don't know the details myself." Rosanna sank into thought. "Looks like I need to be careful around members of the Imperial family. I'm probably safe now that I'm in a different body, but who knows when one might show up." She looked at Zeadin. "Last time, you said only the Emperor can summon a hero. Is that related to what you just said?" Zeatin answered firmly, "Maybe. A hero is like a family heirloom, passed down from emperor to emperor. In the past, someone once stole the vessel that sealed the hero, but they still couldn't summon her, because the hero responds only to the Emperor's call." "I see. So every few hundred years, the one who awakens me is always the Emperor. That means breaking the seal requires not only the vessel, but also the Emperor himself." Rosanna let out a soft sigh. Zeatin asked with concern, "My lady, are you all right?" She pressed a hand to her forehead. "I'm fine. Please continue." Zeatin nodded. "All right. We called her Captain. We asked her name, but she said it didn't matter. She never answered. Anyway, Captain was truly incredible. She slew dozens of monsters on her own. That was when we understood why she was called a hero. She gave us hope that we might survive. And Captain really did seal the Furious Dragon. But after that, she disappeared, without a trace. I think it was because the goal of sealing the Furious Dragon had already been accomplished. On our way back, the Imperial Knights suddenly appeared. There was blood everywhere. Rosanna's fingers tightened. Why? Why would the Imperial Knights? If the captain's true identity were revealed, it would be troublesome. Zeatin's voice turned heavy. A hero must remain only a symbol. That way, the Emperor's prestige will not be overshadowed. It made everything hollow and unjust. In that moment, I even considered breaking the Furious Dragon seal again, but I acted too rashly. I failed to break the seal and was instead consumed by madness. My comrades sacrificed themselves to save me, the youngest among us then. That was the only reason I managed to survive and return to the Imperial Palace. Appearing officially and announcing my return was the only way I could stay alive. That is how I came to where I am today. Zeatin stared at her. "So, my lady," he smiled faintly. "Does that answer your question?" Moonlight streamed through the window and fell over Rosanna. All those people died because of me. She punched the window. The glass shattered instantly. "It hurts. This body hurts this much from just being cut by glass. Then you must have endured far more." Rosanna lowered her eyes, fists clenched. There was a knock at the door. Henry stood outside. "My lady, it's me, Henry. I've come to report, but I heard something breaking. If you don't answer, I'll enter in 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Henry shoved the door open. "My lady, what happened?" He froze on the spot, stunned by the sight before him. Rosanna stood by the shattered window, her expression dark. Good grief. Blood dripped from her tightly clenched fist. "What in the world happened?" Henry called softly, "My lady." Rosanna's eyes were cold. "Go ahead." Henry did not answer immediately. He stepped forward. "Forgive my rudeness." Suddenly, he scooped Rosanna into his arms. Rosanna's eyes widened in shock. "What? Henry can lift me this easily? These legs really are useless." Rosanna struggled. "Put me down." Henry set her carefully on the sofa. He handed her a handkerchief. "Use this to press the wound first. We need to stop the bleeding before the doctor arrives." Rosanna took the handkerchief. "A doctor? This tiny wound doesn't need a doctor. What are you doing with that lamp?" Henry raised the lamp in his hand. Rosanna looked at him in confusion. Henry suddenly smashed it into the dressing mirror. The mirror shattered with a hard crack. He took a breath. "If anyone asks, say you got angry, grabbed something, and threw it. It happened to be this lamp, and it broke the mirror." Rosanna's brows rose slightly. "Do we really need to make up a story like that?" Henry replied firmly, "Yes, we do. You may not realize it, my lady, but an ordinary noble young lady does not punch a mirror with a bare fist just because she's angry." Rosanna coughed lightly and looked away. Henry continued, "Explaining it this way will sound much more plausible. You got angry, threw something, got hurt, and therefore called for a doctor." He smiled faintly. "Do you agree?" Rosanna looked at her bloodied hand and curved her lips slightly. "I agree." She raised her head. "All right, report first. Call the doctor afterward." Henry bowed slightly. "Yes, I'll report immediately. It's about the spy the magic tower planted in this household." Rosanna's eyes sharpened. "Did you find something?" Henry's voice went low. "He's dead. Rosanna pressed suicide." "No." Kyrie begged desperately, saying he was willing to confess everything. Henry's voice remained utterly flat, but the moment he opened his mouth, he exploded. Rosanna's pupils shrank. Exploded? Yes. He suddenly blew apart. Henry continued. One knight, standing closest to him, was seriously wounded, and the others suffered burns to varying degrees. Rosanna's gaze turned sharp. I had wondered why the Magic Tower ignored the Grand Duke's demands. So they never needed to prove anything at all. The only witness dies the moment he speaks. They prepared this far too thoroughly. It seems he wasn't planted here for something as minor as watching the household. He was no ordinary spy. Henry agreed. I think so too. Rosanna fell into thought. Henry, you said I got angry, threw the lamp, shattered the mirror, and then injured my hand, right? Henry nodded. Yes, that's right. But if I threw the lamp from the bed, why would my hand be hurt? The story has to be more convincing. Henry looked at her in confusion. My lady? Then he suddenly realized something, and his face changed. My lady? Surely not. Please stop. My lady. Rosanna expressionlessly crushed a teacup in her hand. Blood welled out at once. Henry panicked. I had only just managed to put you on the bed. What are you doing? Look, the shards are embedded in your hand. Rosanna replied evenly. This makes it clearer. Henry let out a helpless sigh. Once a lady is injured, who's going to question the details? If you wanted to throw something, you could have thrown it at the wall. He crouched down and began clearing the shard from the floor. I'll clean this up. Don't move. I'll do it so you don't get hurt again. Henry's voice softened. I know you did this because you were angry. Don't make strange excuses. Rosanna froze. How does he know? Henry continued. And in the future, when you're angry, please stop hurting yourself. If you truly need an outlet, I'll prepare a place for you. Somewhere you absolutely cannot hurt yourself. So until then, please endure it. Henry turned around. I'm going to call the doctor now. Please stay here. Don't move. Rosanna watched his hurried retreating figure and answered softly. All right. The door shut gently. Rosanna opened her blood-stained palm. So ordinary noble ladies really would call for a doctor over a wound like this. If not for Henry, I probably would have drawn unnecessary attention. It was a good thing I kept him by my side. She looked at the glass shards on the table. Still, some of his worries are unnecessary. When Zeadin returned from the subjugation and announced the deaths of them all, a joint funeral was held for the furious dragon subjugation force. The coffins were empty. Not even their remains could be recovered. Zeadin offered brief farewells to those empty caskets, then left the capital and returned to his own territory. And the first to greet Zeadin, there were the comrades he had saved from the edge of death. Those whom the world believed dead became the Black Knights, remaining by Zeadin's side ever since. Pable's voice was urgent. Your Grace, are you listening to me? Zeadin came back to himself. He rubbed his temples. I drifted off for a moment. Pable continued his report. It's nothing important. I was only passing along the knight's complaints. They say Lady Leylading was especially cutting today. Zeadin answered flatly. That was just a misunderstanding. Pable sighed. I knew that's what you'd say. Talking to you is useless. Zeadin suddenly spoke. I'm sorry, Sir Pable. Pable blinked. HM, why the sudden apology? Nothing. Zeadin's eyes drifted into the distance. Captain, I hope you're doing well. Pable asked with concern. Is there really nothing wrong today? Zeadin shook his head. No, it's only that revisiting the past after so long has left me uneasy. He gave the order to dismiss. It's late. If there's nothing else, you may go. Pable turned to leave. Yes, understood. At the door, he paused. Sleep well tonight. Don't let nightmares trouble you. Zeadin gave a quiet response. All right, nightmares. He lifted a hand. I wonder if my lady is sleeping well. Even when faced with assassins, she endured without showing fear. And I told her about the annihilation of the subjugation force. Even I think that was terrible. I never intended to go into such detail. I don't even know why I did. Zeadin irritably raked a hand through his hair. Whenever that young lady is involved, nothing ever goes according to my plans. Thanks to Henry's competent handling, the incident of the broken mirror was treated as a momentary outburst from a lady. Though rumors spread that her temper had worsened, that was still better than people learning she had smashed the mirror with her bare hand. But there was one thing even the capable Henry could not stop. Duke Leylading's voice came from behind. Rosanna, are you planning to completely ignore your father now? He was already at his wits' end over the rumors that Zeadin and Rosanna had gone boating together. You think a petty trick like this would fool me? I heard His Majesty summoned you, yet you came back this early, supported by someone at his side. Duke Leylading continued. Do you know who caused me to be summoned away first thing in the morning? You did. The Emperor's faction has already started suppressing House Leylading in secret. Duke Leylading clutched his head. Even the Grand Duke's hidden supporters have started sending absurd letters. Everywhere I turn, people are gossiping about Leylading and Balpius, saying they were intimate before marriage. Now they've added the Petrenga duel and these boating rumors. No matter how much I deny it, no one believes me. Rosanna covered her ears. So noisy. Duke Leylading kept roaring. And that's not all. Just today, Rosanna suddenly let out a cry. She lifted her bandaged hand. Ow, my injured hand suddenly hurts. Maybe it's because of the ringing in my ears. Duke Leylading froze. You think I believe that nonsense? From the side, Henry murmured thoughtfully. Perhaps the vibration of the sound traveled through the ear to the wound. Or perhaps not. Duke Leylading looked utterly baffled. What? Duke Leylading waved a hand irritably. Get out of my sight. I'll send a doctor to disinfect it properly. If it worsens, I'm not paying for it. That really works. I'll deal with him like this for now. But Rosanna's injury healed quickly. Meanwhile, she was forcibly taken to a tea party for noble women. Rosanna's body retained nothing but painful memories of such gatherings. She had once stayed silent the whole time and returned home in tears amid endless ridicule. Rosanna realized today would be no different. Maybe that's fine. I'll just leave once it's over. Ignoring the buzzing flies behind her, Rosanna lifted her teacup and took a quiet sip. But ever since I came in, that gaze has been fixed on me. How irritating. Rosanna's eyes swept over the room and landed on Brina. Brina was frowning in displeasure. Is it because she lost the duel last time? I heard she lost a fortune because so many people placed bets. At least the gift I gave her can serve as a retirement fund. Rosanna watched as a group of noble women approached. They're not coming to me, are they? The duel is over, so what could she possibly want? Brina approached with her maids, a perfect smile on her face. Hello, my lady. So it is me after all. Brina said gently, you've been by yourself for a long time. I thought you might feel lonely. May I sit beside you? So she pitted me for being alone. Kinder than I expected. Still annoying though. I want to send her away, but she definitely won't give up easily. If I refuse, she'll only keep pestering me until she sits down anyway. Rosanna waved her hand expressionlessly. Do what you want. Brina bowed elegantly. Thank you, my lady. As soon as she sat down, she began. By the way, the royal ball season is almost here. Lady Petrenga, are you using Neria's atelier again this year? Rosanna silenti pouretea. Brina propped her chin on her hand. My father already made a reservation for me. He said people of high status can't just wear anything. After all, Lady Petrenga is the future empress. Only the royal atelier is worthy of you. Future empress? Nothing has been decided. Who else besides Lady Petrenga would be suitable as the crown prince's consort? Exactly. That's why you've been chosen as the star of the sky for several consecutive years. This year it may not be me. Oh my, how modest of you. Your personality is so lovely too. So she's pretending she's become a different person. Brina looked at Rosanna with contempt. But in the end, she's still the same. Without effort, I draw everyone's attention. You, on the other hand, can't even open your mouth unless someone permits it. That's our place in this world. Brina smiled and asked, Lady Leylading, what do you think? Rosanna looked up blankly. HM? What? Rosanna still had food in her mouth. About what? Brina's smile stiffened. About what we were just discussing. I wasn't listening, so I don't know. Say it again, and I'll answer. Brina's hand trembled slightly. How rude. We were talking about the star of the sky. Everyone thinks Lady Petrenga will be chosen again this year. Yes, we all agree. That damn star of the sky again. If I'd known they'd take it this seriously, I would have phrased it differently. Every time I hear that title, I'm filled with guilt. And why is she glaring at me like that now? Brina slammed the table. That damn star of the sky. If I heard correctly, you'd better explain. That's because the name sounds silly. How dare you insult the late emperor? I just didn't want to keep talking about it. I meant the stars in the sky, not the title. Do you take me for a fool? Do you want to go look at the stars together? Yes. That conversation ended terribly. Brina was furious. So you can't even answer properly. You think the name Star of the Sky is funny. Is that it? Then let's compete this year. Since that title means nothing to you, it shouldn't be a problem, should it? A competition, Lady Petrenga? Are you addicted to gambling? If you go bankrupt, I won't lend you any money. Brina trembled with rage. Who are you calling a gambler? Last time was a duel between knights. The noble women around them began whispering among themselves. This time, it's a competition between us. A fair and proper contest. Brina's eyes gleamed. This time it will be just the two of us competing for the Star of the Sky, awarded each year to the most beautiful and elegant lady. That way we can decide. Who is the true lady? The most beautiful and elegant lady? Rosanna considered it. If I become the star of the sky, neither the Magic Tower nor the Imperial family will suspect me anymore. After all, no one would ever imagine that a hero weathered by war could become such a lady. A smile touched Rosanna's lips. Fine, I accept your challenge. Brina staggered back in shock. What? You really mean to contend with me for the star of the sky? Brina pressed a hand to her forehead. If this is only about saving face, you can stop now. If you apologize properly, I'll pretend none of this happened. No, we compete. She suddenly lifted her head. What did you say? Rosanna's voice was clear and firm. I said we compete. No matter what, this year's star of the sky must be mine. Lady Leylading's eyes. Were they always that color? In the past, her eyes had been a soft blue, like fragile drops of tears. But looking into them now felt like falling into a bottomless lake. It was suffocating. One noblewoman looked at Brina anxiously. Lady Petringa, are you all right? Brina suddenly drew a breath. I can't believe I'm trembling because of her. Impossible. Brina forced herself to stay calm. I've finished my tea, so I'll be leaving now. Oh my goodness, you really came to the tea party. It's my first time seeing you this close. Who is making such a fuss now? Good, I can slip away while I have the chance. Prince Joseph. Leylading turned sharply. What? Did you come to pick me up? Joseph looked at Brina in confusion. What are you talking about? Joseph scanned the room. Where is Lady Leylading going? Your Highness, why are you looking for Lady Leylading? Brina clasped her hands. It seems you overheard our conversation. Lady Leylading says she wants to become the star of the sky this year. It may be impossible, but the challenge itself is beautiful. Lady Leylading wants to compete for the star of the sky. Brina's voice trembled. Yes, she said she would surpass me and become the finest lady. A smile appeared on Joseph's lips. Interesting. She truly never disappoints me. Lady Leylading, are you truly challenging for the star of the sky this year? Rosanna met his eyes. Yes. Why? Joseph stroked his chin with interest. If it's you, then it's certainly worth attempting. I'm looking forward to it. That is a great honor for me. I'm the one entering, so why does he sound like he's the honored one? The noble women around them began murmuring. It seems His Highness the Crown Prince is supporting Lady Leylading. Maybe he's only being polite. He isn't the sort to do things just for politeness. Joseph bowed slightly. It seems you were about to leave. May I escort you? Rosanna crossed her arms. I don't want that. The nobles around them gasped. What is Lady Leylading doing? If she offends His Highness. Rosanna curled her lip dismissively. Joseph burst out laughing. I sensed it last time, my lady. You truly have remarkable courage. People ought to be this confident. Everyone should learn from her. That's right. People need courage. He started clapping, and the others followed with scattered applause. Why is everyone clapping? What is he trying to do? Didn't I warn you? Don't get involved with that man. I heard you ignore my warning and even went boating with him. Did I really have to come here in person? Did anyone invite you? Rosanna sharply shook off his hand, rubbing her reddened wrist. She thought, he's giving me another chance and I'm still not getting it? That slap really had some force behind it. A chance? If he comes to pick me up publicly like this, rumors will spread. House Leylading still remains loyal to His Majesty, and our relationship is as solid as ever. In short, he's worried about the rumors involving me and Zeadin, so he came himself to deny them. I see. A cold smile rose on Rosanna's lips. That's all. What? Joseph's heart jolted. Why? Why does my heart suddenly feel like this? It's like father staring at me with murderous eyes. No, impossible. She looks so fragile. Her arms look as if they'd break with a light shove. Why would I be afraid of her? Then why is my heart pounding like this? Cold sweat broke out on Joseph's face. Whatever. Rosanna turned to leave. Send me the bill for the broken teacup. Wait, my lady. Joseph suddenly grabbed Rosanna by the wrist. Rosanna flung her hand away. Joseph lost his balance and stumbled straight into Brina's arms. I only grabbed him by reflex. Rosanna lifted her head, her eyes dark. Why did you suddenly grab me? She shoved Joseph away so hard he staggered back into the wall. Rosanna turned and strode off. Don't follow me. Am I too late? Footsteps approached from afar. Zeadin arrived. Has the Crown Prince come too? I'm here to pick up my lady. Rosanna turned around. Why are you here? I heard you were attending a tea party. Rosanna folded her arms. Grand Duke, don't tell me you've set people to watch my every move. Zeadin smiled gently. A little suspicious, isn't it? In any case, his eyes sharpened. It seems someone besides me came to escort you. Joseph gave a short laugh. I heard the news. I heard you barely survived when no one welcomed you and came back alone. It seems there really isn't a single person for you in the palace. It's almost as if you're hiding from something terrifying. Joseph clenched his teeth. What am I hiding from? You were hiding so thoroughly, not even a strand of your hair could be seen. Of course people would think that. Joseph let out a dry laugh. This bastard. Are the Grand Duke and the Crown Prince going to duel? Lady Leylading should stop them at least. Rosanna remained expressionless. I have no intention of stopping you. I'm leaving. Go settle it somewhere else. Don't make a scene in someone else's house. Zeadin quickly followed after her. My lady, I've prepared a carriage. Weren't you two about to fight? Go fight. Don't follow me. Zeadin trailed behind her. No, we're not fighting. It's already over. Has his madness flared up and driven him here? Is he provoking him on purpose? We truly won't fight, my lady. Really? Yes. Fine then. Since it's a promise. Rosanna lightly took his hand. Zeadin's cheeks reddened. My lady, what's the point of riding in that man's carriage? Joseph chased after them from behind. I'll escort you in the Imperial carriage. The Grand Duke's horses are far better than the Imperial ones. Don't you know that? Quiet, Zeadin. The horse isn't what matters. The seats in the Imperial carriage are soft as clouds. If that's the issue, my lady can sit on my lap. Don't you know my thighs are stronger? Rosanna covered her ears as the two men continued bickering. Didn't Zeadin already win? You need strong thighs to wield a sword. They finally left. Was Lady Leylading always like that? Not at all. Not completely. She feels like a completely different person now. I thought it was just a rumor. Honestly, wasn't she a little cool today? Even the Crown Prince and the Grand Duke were helpless in front of her. My heart skipped a beat when she grabbed the Crown Prince. Refusing their escort was cool too. No one but her would dare oppose the Crown Prince like that. I'll have to see the lady in a new light from now on. So will I. Brina trembled with rage, biting down hard on her handkerchief. Rosanna, I really hate you. I wanted you to return quietly. Once the rumors with that Grand Duke died down, wasn't everything supposed to proceed as planned? What do you mean died down? The boat rumors may have disappeared, but why didn't you return quietly? Why did you get involved with Lady Petrenga again? Oh, that wasn't my idea at all. Brina Petrenga suggested it. You should have refused. Don't you know Lady Petrenga has been the star of the sky for years? Brina Petrenga is publicly acknowledged as the greatest beauty. The Duke gestured emphatically. That's not the point. It means the Imperial family has already chosen her as the Crown Prince's future wife. Of course I know that, but being chosen once doesn't mean I'll marry the Crown Prince. It means you never had any chance from the start. The late Emperor said he would personally choose the future Crown Princess. If the choice is already made, then this so-called competition is only a formality. The strongest opinion would be the Grand Duke's. I have a question about the Star of the Sky. Is it chosen directly by the Emperor? Rosanna, isn't that obvious? Rosanna suddenly slammed her hand onto the table. A loud bang rang out. Rosanna, are you all right? Physician, call the physician. Rosanna's eyes turned cold with despair. I'm done for. The Duke carefully peeled an egg. The shell cracked crisply. Good thing you stopped in time. You were so confident just now. So why did you suddenly slam your head into the table? Have you come to your senses at last? Rosanna rubbed her reddened forehead. Grand Duke, you're very good at peeling eggs. She picked up the peeled egg and put it into her mouth. Are you planning to eat all these eggs? It seems your head still isn't clear. What's done is done. Regretting it won't help. Prepare yourself properly. Rosanna leaned lazily against the headboard. Yes, listen to that perfunctory answer. He reached out protectively over the remaining eggs. Leave the peeled ones. I'm not going to steal them. Rosanna nodded reluctantly. The physician said you still need to be observed for 2 more days, so rest properly. If you feel unwell, call someone immediately. The Grand Duke clapped his hands and turned to leave. Rosanna answered obediently. Rosanna watched his departing back. Why does he look so happy? Is it because he doesn't have to peel eggs anymore? The Crown Prince and the Grand Duke followed Rosanna everywhere, never leaving her side. Even at tea parties for noble ladies, it was no different, which was only natural. Rosanna is my child. After all, humming to himself and suppressing a smile, the Duke walked down the corridor. House Petrenga will reserve Neria's atelier. I need to find a contact quickly. He seemed to be in very good spirits today. Did something happen? I have to hold my head high and outshine everyone at the ball. The hero's disappearance cursed the Emperor with sleeplessness. Night after night, he lay awake with no answers. The moment he closed his eyes, the mangy hunting hounds would leap at him and tear into his throat. The starlight in his bedchamber was like the hero, an omnipresent gaze watching him from everywhere. Only by numbing himself with wine and women in his own chamber could he snatch a brief moment to breathe. But even that fleeting peace vanished like smoke in an instant. A knock came from outside. An attendant stood respectfully at the door. Your Majesty, it's Jarrell. The Emperor's voice came from within. Come in. Jarrell pushed the door open and entered. His footsteps were steady, though the matter was urgent. Did you find him? The Emperor asked in a low voice. Jarrell's eyes gleamed. I've come up with an excellent plan. The Emperor sat up in bed. An excellent plan? The woman beside him let out a startled cry. The Emperor waved a hand. This is nothing you should hear. Give her money and have her leave at once. Yes, sire. She immediately wrapped the woman in a bedsheet. At once, your majesty. The Emperor picked up an old rusted sword. Good. Hearing that has nearly sobered me up. The Emperor stroked the hilt. That had better be foolproof. Jarrell looked certain. It is the best plan possible. The Emperor gestured for him to continue. Let's hear it. Jarrell began to explain. We'll make use of the upcoming Imperial Ball. The Emperor frowned. The ball? We still don't know how the hero's seal was broken, but the binding magic remains in effect, which means he hasn't vanished. If the hero has not shown himself even now, then he must be hiding. But as long as the binding magic remains, he cannot leave the outskirts of the capital without your majesty's permission. At most, he can only move around near the capital. We can thoroughly search every place there. The Emperor impatiently grabbed his head. The capital is too large. What if the hero breaks free of the binding magic during the search? Jarrell sounded confident. That is precisely why I mentioned the ball. We invite every noble who could possibly be within the hero's range of movement. If the hero appears, I have a way to make him reveal himself. I only need to identify the suspect in the crowd. Refusing the invitation means defying the Imperial command, so screening them will be easier. The Emperor raised a question. What about the commoners? That gives us a perfect excuse to summon them as well. Even if it takes some time, it will be no more than half a month. The Emperor suddenly leaned forward and let out a low chuckle. His whole body shook as he laughed. The laughter grew louder and louder until it became wild, unrestrained cackling. He laughed so hard he nearly doubled over, unable to help himself at the thought alone. The Emperor picked up a bottle. Jarrell accepted it. The Emperor raised his glass. Can I trust you? Jarrell's voice was firm as iron. Yes, your majesty. I will use every scrap of my magical knowledge to bring him back to your feet. Milady, please have a look. They suddenly unfurled a long scroll of parchment. Rosanna sat at the garden table, looking baffled. What is this? Why did you unroll it only to roll it back up again? Henry Austin straightened his posture. This is the thing you most urgently need to review. It just looks cooler as a scroll. There are 2 months left until the Imperial Ball. Miss Liv and I compiled a list of the tailors and jewelers in the capital, along with each shop's reservation status. For your convenience, we separated out the parts that require your approval. There was not the slightest ripple in Rosanna's blue eyes. A pointless effort. I wasn't planning to go at all. I went to all the trouble of winning the title of Star of the Sky, precisely to avoid suspicion. If I get entangled with the Emperor, it all becomes meaningless. Resting her cheek on one hand, Rosanna looked indifferent. I'll just come up with some excuse not to attend. The maid was aghast. What did you say? How could that possibly work? Miss, Rosanna lifted her chin. Losing a bet isn't such a big deal. This has nothing to do with money, miss. Liv, if you get too addicted to gambling, you'll end up like Lady Petrenga and lose all your jewelry before you know it. Henry hurriedly explained, My lady, it isn't because of the bet. Rosanna looked puzzled. Then why? His Majesty has ordered that everyone who receives an invitation must attend. This is the invitation. Anyone who does not attend must submit to a special private audience. Letters have been sent from the palace to every noble in every province. To avoid the curse, you must attend the ball. Those who disobey will have a private meeting with the Emperor. Do not fail to appear. Attendance is mandatory. Rosanna's expression changed instantly. Her pupils shrank. Henry reminded her, didn't you read the invitation? Rosanna went rigid all over. Oh, a private audience with the Emperor. The worst possible scenario played out in her mind. It's him. The Emperor's voice rang out. It's the hero. Seal him immediately. Yes, your majesty. Absolutely not. That means I have to go. But I need to stay as inconspicuous as possible. There are too many nobles in the capital. They can't possibly investigate each one carefully. The maid comforted her. Miss, you don't need to worry. Rosanna frowned. Worry about what? Your gown and accessories, of course. All the popular shops were fully booked ages ago. The maid clenched her fists. Don't worry. Just name the shop you want. Even if I have to stay up for days and nights, I'll get the reservation for you. Henry puffed out his chest too. And accessories won't be a problem either. I'll use all our family's connections to get you the most fashionable designs of the year. Rosanna slammed the table. Have you both lost your minds? The two of them jumped. I will never forgive you if you do that. Rosanna's tone turned severe. If either of you dares reserve a popular boutique or use the family's connections to get some fashionable style, just try it and see. Liv, go book the least popular tailor in the city, the one with the fewest reservations. That one at the end looks suitable. And Henry, find a jeweler that noble women hardly ever visit, preferably one with the most outdated designs. Henry, you choose. The maid could hardly believe it. Are you worried I'll stay up all night for the reservation? Do you not trust my abilities, miss? Her Her eyes brimmed with grievance. A voice came from the distance. Rosanna, there you are. Rosanna turned towards sound. The Duke again? And why is she talking like that? She stood up. What is it? The Duke strode over quickly. Rosanna, have you made a tailor reservation yet? Not yet. The Duke let out a relieved breath. Good. He placed 3 reservation tokens on the table. These are reservation passes for 3 dressmakers. Grand Duke Valfis, Crown Prince Joseph. The Duke's face shone with pride. Go on. Pick whichever you like. He went on. For reference, Grand Duke Valfis booked Audria, Crown Prince Joseph booked Neria, and I booked Iolo. More or less like that. Rosanna stared at him expressionlessly. The Duke's voice softened. You don't have to choose the one I worked so hard to reserve. It's fine. Choose fairly. Pick the one you like. The Duke turned away. I'll be going now. He said only what he wanted to say, then simply left. The maid cried excitedly, wow, wow, wow. So amazing, miss. Rosanna turned to the 2 overexcited attendants. What is it? They answered in unison. What do you mean, what is it? The tailor reservations, of course. The maid explained eagerly. First, Neria, which His Highness the Crown Prince reserved. The height of luxury, elegance through and through. Just wearing one of their gowns is an honor in itself. Next is Iolo, which the Duke reserved. They say it's slightly below Neria, but the young designer there is always setting the trends. Their future is limitless. And lastly, Audria, reserved by the Grand Duke. That place is truly extraordinary. No royal connections at all. It rose to the top on the designer's talent alone. In terms of taste, it's the Empire's only real rival to Neria. The maid clasped her hands, her eyes full of longing. It's as if those 2 men are competing for you, and these dressmakers are competing for you too. Miss, you're just too kind-hearted, far too deep and thoughtful. Rosanna asked blankly, what does an excellent tailor have to do with my personality? You knew you'd end up changing it anyway, so that's why you chose the least popular one, right? You didn't want to pick a popular one after all the trouble. Rosanna smiled. No, the maid blinked, confused. Stop talking nonsense. Do as I said. Go book the one I chose before. Tomorrow. But the 3 most famous ateliers in the Empire are right in front of you to choose from. Rosanna's gaze turned icy. Why are you still standing there? Don't need to hand my jewelry over to another maid before you wake up? The maid snapped back to attention. Yes, understood. Henry urged her to. What are you waiting for? Do I need to call another maid? The maid jumped into action. I'm going right now. Immediately, Rosanna turned. I'll go in alone. You 2 do as I instructed. Henry, choose the jeweler exactly as I said. Understood? Yes, I understand. Rosanna left by herself. Henry spoke up. Miss Liv, let us go as well. The maid lowered her head. Yes, I really don't understand what Miss is thinking. Places other people would kill to book. Mr. Henry, is this really the right thing to do? Henry smiled. Miss Liv, let me give you a hint. The maid looked up in confusion. A hint? I thought it over carefully, and I came to a conclusion. This is a test for us. A test? Miss asked for old-fashioned styles favored by noble women. Ordinarily, we'd think of tacky, outdated designs, but she never specified which old era she meant. That is where I found the clue and the answer. In other words, rare treasures, like heirlooms from some long-destroyed kingdom. Only wealthy noble women with a love of classics would seek such pieces, not young girls chasing trends. The maid's eyes widened. Wow, Mr. Henry, you're incredible. Henry turned away. Then, I shall contact the jeweler at once. Waving with a smile, he added, Miss Liv, I hope you find the answer too. The maid bowed gratefully. Thank you, Mr. Henry. I'll do my best too. Dressmaker. A glittering pendant was placed in the maid's hand. Holding the pendant, the maid said, I'll take this. But, is this really okay? I haven't even passed the test yet. Miss is really going to wear a gown from a place like this? She stared at the shabby tailor shop in front of her. Rosanna's voice was calm and firm. Whether it's a test or not, this is exactly what I wanted. Let's go in. The maid obediently replied, yes. The bell rang. The shop assistant had been arranging ribbons, but when he heard the sound, he turned. Welcome. The moment he saw Rosanna, he screamed and staggered backward, knocking over the rack behind him. Rosanna tilted her head slightly. Is it that surprising for a customer to come in? The maid whispered pleadingly, Miss, we can still change shops now. The clerk apologized in a fluster. My deepest apologies. I never imagined Miss Leylading would visit my humble shop in person. Rosanna remained composed. I heard you've already accepted a reservation. Your maid came yesterday. She said she wanted to make an appointment, so I agreed. I was very busy at the time and didn't catch her name. Please allow me to introduce myself again. I am Shulio, designer of Shulio Tailor Shop. He bowed deeply. It is an honor to have you here. If you don't mind, please sit for a moment. I'll bring tea right away. Rosanna nodded. Fine. The teacup was gently set on the table. Shulio served the tea. "Thank you for waiting, my lady. Please drink while telling me what kind of gown you want." Rosanna said, "I need a gown to wear to the Imperial Ball in 2 months." Shulio's pupils contracted sharply. "A gown made by me? At the Imperial Ball?" "Yes." Shulio pressed a hand to his forehead. "Forgive me, but I think you've come to the wrong place. I've never made a ball gown before." Rosanna's gaze sharpened. "Then this will be your debut. You are exactly the talent I want." Shulio froze. "What?" Rosanna pushed a heavy money pouch onto the table. "I know nothing about dresses, and I have no taste to speak of, so I want you to design it exactly as you please. The more freely, the better." Shulio stared at the gold coins spilling out of the pouch. "You've given me this much money. Can I really make it however I want?" Rosanna's tone allowed no doubt. "I won't complain that I dislike it. Whatever gown you make, I'll wear it." Clutching at his own collar, Shulio gasped, "My God." The maid added from beside them, for reference, "Miss had reservations at Audria, Neria, and Iolo, but she refused them all just to come to Shulio Taylor's shop." Shulio stumbled back a step in shock. "Why reject those famous places and come to me of all people?" The maid's voice grew excited. "And not only that, Miss is aiming to become this year's Star of the Sky." Shulio looked thunderstruck. "What?" Rosanna waved a hand lightly. "Don't listen to the maid's nonsense. Just make it as usual." Shulio clasped both hands, his eyes shining with fervor. "An angel, my goddess. From this day forward, I am a devotee of the leylating faith." Rosanna yawned. Just going out for a while had made her tired. "When I lived as the hero, I didn't even know what fatigue was. Even so, on a day like today, I suppose I might still get tired." It looked like he was tired, too. Once it passed noon, she felt like sleeping. A faint smile rose at Rosanna's lips. "Humans really can adapt to anything. Back then I fought monsters, sealed them away, and went hungry without even knowing if I'd wake again. I had no idea what tiredness was. Now, just a little fatigue makes me sleepy." The carriage suddenly stopped. "What's going on? Why do we stop at the gate?" The maid pointed out the window. "Miss, look over there." Zeadin was leaning against the golden gate, arms crossed. His red eyes were quietly fixed on the carriage. "Miss, I've been waiting for you." Rosanna pointed at herself. "Waiting for me?" Zeadin walked closer. "Yes, there was something I wanted to ask. I heard you reserved another tailor instead of the one I booked for you. If there was something you disliked, perhaps because I appeared uninvited to escort you last time, that was only an excuse." Looking at his face, it seemed his madness had flared up again. Rosanna lifted a hand and gently cupped his cheek. "Isn't this what you need?" Zeadin's cheeks flushed, his eyes growing hazy. Aye." The evening glow fell over them, stretching their shadows long. Zeadin gazed at her. "Yes, that's right. I need this. He must be desperate. Look at how hard he's trying to increase the area of contact. Would this work better?" Rosanna asked softly. "Do you have to leave immediately?" Zeadin blinked in surprise. Rosanna turned to the maid and instructed, "Prepare tea in the drawing room. You can take the carriage back." "Yes." Mississippi Rosanna looked back at him. "Since you're here, have a cup of tea before you go." Zeadin looked a little confused. "HM?" Rosanna added, "If you don't want any, that's fine too." Her fingers slipped quietly between his, interlacing with his. Zeadin clasped them tightly at once. "No, I'll drink it. I'll leave after." Interlaced fingers. What does this mean? Rosanna's face remained expressionless. This way, the contact area is greater than simply holding hands. They walked side by side toward the mansion, their hands clasped tightly. Watching from afar, the maid muttered, "But why are they walking back?" Another servant replied, "I have no idea. I just saw you both get out of the carriage." Sitting beside Rosanna, Zeadin asked, "Miss, where did you come from?" Rosanna raised her teacup. "I went to the tailor for measurements." "The tailor," he repeated in a low voice. "With Miss pulling me along like that, I almost forgot why I came. I came because her maid had made an appointment at a nearly bankrupt tailor shop, and yet she really did have her measurements taken there. Could it be the Duke?" Zeadin spoke. "Miss, I reserved a tailor for you." "Didn't you receive word?" "Audria Tailor Shop?" "I did." "Then why did you book somewhere else?" Had she thrown everything away just to use Neria? But if she wanted to compete with Brina Petrenga, she had to avoid Neria. Even within the same atelier, the designer's attention would naturally be unequal. For years, Neria's gowns had ruled the sky's galaxy. Of course, they would focus most on Brina Petrenga's dress. Or perhaps it wasn't a matter of giving up, but money. My 30 million gold and the Duke's 50 million gold. What she stands to win is far more than that. She's always sensitive when bets involve money. And there are rumors that she and the Duke are not on good terms either. Zeadin murmured, "Miss, if you're worried about the cost, I'll take care of it." Rosanna set down her fork. "That's right, the cost. We simply each needed something, so we walked together. The Duke has no reason to do something for me. A duel only spends his own money, but a tailor shop uses the family's money. There's no need to spend extra. Cost. Is he being shy? Rosanna set down her fork. Thank you for your kindness. But it wasn't only you. The Duke and the Crown Prince also reserved things for me. What? Besides me, who else reserved one for you? Zeadin's expression darkened. Rosanna answered calmly. The Duke reserved Iolo. The Crown Prince reserved Neria. Joseph. I see. Zeadin fell into memory. I suddenly remembered that day. I heard Miss would be attending a tea party, so I went as well, worried she might be humiliated. I forced myself to go. Joseph, always one step ahead of me. When I saw the way he looked at her, the emotion in his eyes, it was a strange mixture of awe and unfamiliar excitement, admiration, submission, even a desire to bind and conquer. Because I have felt those same emotions myself, it unsettled me all the more. He may not have realized it yet, but the way he treats Miss is no longer just about checking me. He reserved that tailor. Probably because Rosanna thought for a moment, is he really that malicious? He heard I was competing with Miss Petrenga, so maybe he wants to watch me make a fool of myself. If I wear a gown from the same house and lose, he'd probably be even happier. How did she come up with that? Rosanna looked at him. Given the Crown Prince's personality, my guess isn't wrong, is it? Zeadin's cheeks reddened slightly. He covered his mouth with a hand. I agree. For the first time, I feel a little sorry for Joseph, though it has nothing to do with me. Rosanna continued. So I didn't choose any of those 3 places. I wanted one I found myself. So don't be too disappointed just because I refuse your offer, all right? She reached out and gently patted his head. Zeadin froze for a moment, then smiled. All right, in the entire empire, even people who wish me well still call me a monster. But she's probably the only one who can treat me like this. Because of that, if she wished it, nothing could stop her. Zeadin gazed at Rosanna, a trace of gentleness in his eyes. This year's Sky's Galaxy. I believe it belongs to you. Mississippi Brina Petrenga has held that place for years. Do you know? If you want something, what position could possibly be beyond your reach? He took her hand. I'm serious. Why does this feel a little embarrassing? Zeadin called softly, Mississippi HM. He continued, even if you went to the tailor you chose yourself, may I still be your partner at the Imperial Ball? You haven't found a partner yet, have you? Rosanna paused slightly. Zeadin looked at her earnestly. Please, Mississippi, tell me you haven't. He watched her with eager expectation. Rosanna looked away. I haven't yet. Then choose me as your partner. Rosanna looked at him. All right, I promise you. If I go alone, I'll only stand out more. Zeadin smiled with delight. Thank you. So I won't trouble you. I'll have a new outfit tailored as well. It really isn't necessary to go that far. But he looks so happy. Better just let him. A few days later, the designer Shulio came to the ducal estate to take her measurements. Rosanna sat upright, faster than I expected. Shulio was brimming with enthusiasm. When I think of you, Miss, and the galaxy, inspiration pours out endlessly. I poured all of my artistic soul into this. Rosanna asked, is the gown behind the curtain? Ah, yes. Then let's not waste time. Let's see it first. Shulio adjusted his glasses. As you wish, my lady. Then behold my masterpiece. He yanked open the curtain. Nearby, the maid prayed nervously. Please. Please, Shulio announced grandly, I present to you True Beauty 1, True Beauty 2, and Woman Draped in the Galaxy. He launched into explanation without pause. The first 2 gowns are a series, exploring humanity's most primal sense of beauty. The first reveals the body to the greatest possible extent. The second goes even further, expressing that true beauty lies in human freedom. And this one, titled Woman Draped in a Galaxy, came to me in a burst of inspiration as I looked up at the sky on my way home after finishing the first 2. The dazzling galaxy intertwines with your image. Its flowing silhouette evokes the Milky Way. The neckline design ensures that you stand out even among the stars. The upper half is rich and full, commanding powerful presence. Shulio clasped his hands. It's a difficult choice, but which of these 3 do you like best? Rosanna looked bewildered. You mean, these just now? Shulio nodded. Of course. You may try them all on before deciding. Clothing only reveals its worth when worn. Rosanna shook her head. No, that's unnecessary. I'll choose the Galaxy one. There was no need to choose. The first and second could hardly even be called gowns. Strange, they were certainly unique, but only the third was actually wearable. Rosanna said, Liv, help me get ready. The maid covered her mouth with both hands. Mississippi, are you really going to wear this? Are you truly going to attend the Imperial Ball in it? Rosanna suppressed a smile. Haven't I already decided? Besides, who knows how it will feel once it's on? Only this once. Miss, you're mistaken. The door slowly opened. Rosanna emerged wearing the gown. The skirt spread out like a river of stars, while the neckline flared like a blaze of fire. This outfit was destined to be a disaster. Shulio clapped in excitement. You are absolutely magnificent. Only now, with you wearing it, is this work complete. Rosanna said nothing. Shulio knelt to take measurements. perfect, as if measured by ruler already. I need only finish the details. The maid asked shakily, is there another gown? Rosanna cut her off. No, the gown. I like this one, so we'll use this gown. And just in case, this dress must remain absolutely secret until the day of the ball. Shulio answered solemnly, of course. A design leak is absolutely unacceptable. Even if you asked me to show it off, I would hesitate. Rosanna turned away. We'll meet again once the gown is finished. Travel safely, and make sure the dress isn't exposed. Shulio bowed and took his leave. Yes, my lady. Until next time. Rosanna collapsed onto the sofa and let out a long sigh. The maid Liv asked worriedly, Miss, are you really not changing ateliers? You're still hesitating, aren't you? Rosanna kept her eyes closed. No, it would be too embarrassing to back out now, so I won't. Liv looked close to tears, but still, a sly glint flashed in Rosanna's eyes. Who knows? That gown might make the Emperor naturally avoid me. There was a knock at the door. A man's voice came from outside. Miss, it's Henry. Rosanna answered, Come in. Henry entered the room, holding a red wooden box in both hands. Miss, what you instructed has been more or less settled. Rosanna turned her head. What I instructed. Looking at Henry's confident face, she felt a faint sense of foreboding. Henry presented the wooden box. This is the result. A jewelry box? Right. I told Henry to meet with a jeweler. Rosanna opened the box. I specifically told him to bring something outdated. So why does this box look this ancient? She inhaled sharply, pupils shrinking. What is this? Henry explained with a smile. I'll go through them one by one. First, the fairy earrings, made by a king of an ancient kingdom to win a fairy's heart. Then the ancient blessing necklace, said to have once been worn by a goddess herself. And finally, the blue October bracelet, so valuable that it once started a war. Placing a hand over his chest, Henry said, Miss, these are the outdated jewels you wanted. Even if they went out of fashion hundreds of years ago, jewels preserved in legend have already had their worth proven by history. Once again, I am awed by your foresight. The maids looked at him with reverence. Mr. Henry, it's amazing that you managed to get these. Since it was Mrs. Order, of course I had to make it happen. Rosanna's face turned pale. I never gave such an order. How much money did he spend? Shulio's dress, Henry's jewelry. The spectacle with such extravagant jewels would be overwhelming. Rosanna pressed a hand to her forehead. Maybe I should skip the ball and just request a private audience with the Emperor instead. What? Miss Leylading booked an atelier? How is that possible? They said it was a workshop we hadn't interfered with at all. Brina took a sip of tea. It doesn't matter. I've already warned every well-known atelier. Then it must be some shabby, half-ruined workshop on the verge of collapse. The servant continued reporting. That workshop may be nearly bankrupt, but the designer appears to be a genius. He was already famous for being eccentric while at the Royal Academy of Arts. The designer from Neria Atelier said he was his junior. Brina flared up. A place like that existed, and you didn't interfere sooner? The servant bowed deeply. I'm sorry. I only learned of it during this investigation. Why did that moment have to come back to her now? That humiliating day when she thought she had victory in hand, only to lose utterly. This time, I absolutely cannot lose. No matter what, I have to win. Brina's hand trembled slightly. The teacup clinked softly against its saucer. She spoke coldly. Steal it. The servant stiffened. Pardon? A vicious glint flashed in Brina's eyes. Steal Miss Leylading's gown design. Then take the sketch to Neria Atelier and have them make an identical one. The servant looked troubled. Wouldn't that mean you'll be wearing the same gown? If people say one of you copied the other, Brina stood up. Starting tomorrow, I will leave on a trip until the day before the ball. Tell the atelier I won't inspect the gown until the morning of the ball. That means no matter what kind of gown they deliver, I will pretend I knew nothing. Her eyes gleamed coldly. Let's see whose brilliance shines brighter. A few days later, Shulio delivered the luxurious gown, and Henry brought back the precious jewelry. Shulio dropped to his knees. Kill me. Please kill me, my lady. The design sketch is gone. Rosanna sat upright. The sketch? Shulio's voice shook. I locked it away with double and triple safeguards hidden in the deepest part of a drawer. But this morning, only the design vanished into thin air. Rosanna frowned. Only the design was missing? Impossible, Shulio hurried to explain. But the design is still in my head. I can redraw it exactly. If you give me just a little more time. Rosanna raised a hand to stop him. Wait, what if someone stole the design? This may be my chance. There's a little time left. Whatever he makes this time will surely be more ordinary than the last one. Shilio's cheeks reddened. But no one has ever stolen one of my designs before. Exactly. Rosanna sat straight. It may not be likely, but if the design has leaked, we must prepare for that possibility. Shilio spread his hands. How are we supposed to prepare? Rosanna's eyes sharpened. Change the design. Shilio drew in a sharp breath. The design you like so much. It is regrettable, but I think this is the best choice. Rosanna's tone was gentle. I'm sad too that I won't be able to wear that gown now. But with your skill, you'll surely make something even better. Shilio covered his mouth with both hands, eyes wet. Mississippi aside from the professors of the Royal Academy of Arts. You're the first person who has understood my artistic world so deeply. Rosanna suddenly raised her head. Right? You attended the Royal Academy of Arts? The academy founded by the art-loving emperor to nurture artists. Before I was sealed, even I, dragged only on a battlefields, had heard its name. Shilio was actually a student of the Empire's finest art academy. Shilio looked a little embarrassed. Ah, yes. I did graduate from the Royal Academy of Arts, but I try not to think about it. Once you become bound by your background, your art becomes imprisoned too. Rosanna looked at the maid. Liv, has the Academy's reputation fallen that much? The maid answered seriously, not at all, Mississippi. The designers from both Neria and Audria graduated from there. Graduated? Did you graduate normally? Shilio's cheeks reddened again. It was originally a 3-year course, but I graduated in 2. I wanted to prove my worth to the world as quickly as possible. A genius. Though perhaps I later started putting too much of myself into it. His cheeks flushing, Shilio said, I'll return now and come up with a new design. I promise I'll bring you something even more stunning. Mississippi, the maid quickly spoke up. Wait, shouldn't we at least decide on a design direction first? And no, not a design direction exactly, but at least the general silhouette of the gown. Shilio looked puzzled. Didn't you say I could design freely as I pleased? I heard from a maid that Imperial Balls have a certain dress code. While nothing is rigidly specified, a gown that is too unconventional may fail to gain His Majesty's favor. Rosanna turned to the maid. Liv, is that true? It is. Shilio lowered his head in apology. Since it's an Imperial Ball, there are naturally certain rules. I'm sorry, my lady. I've never made a ball gown before, so I didn't know. Rosanna closed her eyes. You didn't know because I never told you. That is the employer's responsibility. Shilio's fighting spirit rekindled. In that case, I will find a way to express my art within those rules and present you with another gown you'll be satisfied with. Rosanna replied softly, Good. I'll look forward to it. The maid quickly explained the basic requirements for gowns at an Imperial Ball. She emphasized fundamental but crucial principles like sleeve length and skirt length. Time flew by. Shilio came again for a fitting, bringing a new gown that followed the maid's advice. Rosanna quietly slipped the maid a pair of earrings. Shilio smiled confidently. It looks simple now, but once finished it will be very beautiful. I've been observing noble parties constantly, so don't worry about the dress code. Shilio's confident smile made Rosanna uneasy, but she reassured herself. The worst had already passed. Everything seemed as though it would go smoothly. But as time passed and the morning of the Imperial Ball arrived, the worst-case scenario happened. Rosanna looked tense. For both of them, tears burst from Brina's eyes. Her cheeks flushed bright red. For both Rosanna and Brina. Brina covered her mouth with both hands, unable to believe what she was seeing. Is this really it? Her voice trembled. Is this really the design I told you to steal? The designer, standing nearby, looked calm. I made it exactly according to the design sketch you entrusted to me with. Mississippi Brina jumped up from her chair. No, but this isn't even a dress. She flailed her arms in agitation. If it was going to turn out like this, you should have told me sooner. The designer stated expressionlessly. I clearly suggested revisions midway through, but you insisted that I copy the design exactly. Brina's face flushed red with fury. She shrieked. How am I supposed to wear this? And you still expect payment for this dress? The designer replied coldly. I merely followed orders. If you refuse to pay, that's fine. He pushed up his glasses. Of course, after today, I will no longer accept any commissions from the Petringa family. The servant looked down at her, voice heavy. That would be troublesome, Mississippi. As you know, this atelier has close ties with the royal family. Brina bit her lip. I know. She cried out in despair. I need a different dress. Hurry and bring me something else. Anything at all. The designer's voice remained completely flat. There are no other dresses. This is the busy season. Every gown we prepared has already been sold. Tears welled in Brina's eyes. Then what? What am I supposed to do? Go out dressed like this? Everyone will laugh at me. The designer replied coldly. That is not my problem to solve. More importantly, there is something I must ask you. What? The designer's gaze sharpened. The design you gave me is extremely similar to the style of one of my juniors. In fact, he is precisely the junior I mentioned to you before. Where did you get that sketch? Brina stammered defensively. Why should I tell you? No matter where I got it, your atelier made it in the end. The designer looked at her calmly. I knew you'd say that. He gave a slight bow. Then I shall take my leave. This was a dress I absolutely never wanted to wear, but I forced myself into it anyway. Because Leylading humiliated me with trickery last time. If we were the same dress, she wouldn't be able to use that trick again. Even if she really did show up, at least I wouldn't be the only one dressed ridiculously. Rage burned in Brina's eyes. Ah, you traitor. She ground her teeth, tears trembling in her eyes, her cheeks burning with humiliation. The grand estate basked in sunlight, lush with trees and magnificently imposing. Miss says she'll be down shortly. Zeadin gave a small nod. Understood. He took a deep breath. Why am I so nervous just to escort her? He adjusted his cuffs, trying to steady himself. Someone like her surely wouldn't care much about these things. A confident smile touched his lips, but a hint of anticipation flickered in his eyes. Rosanna's voice rang out. I got up early. She slowly descended the stairs. Grand Duke, Zeatin's gaze locked on her completely. His breathing seemed to stop for a moment. Rosanna came down step by step, her footsteps crisp. Have you been waiting long? Rosanna lifted her face. Grand Duke, he was momentarily speechless, only staring at her. The corners of Rosanna's lips lifted slightly. She reached out and lightly took his hand. Zeadin came back to himself. Miss. Rosanna smiled. Now you're responding to my hand. Does he think I've gone mad? I don't want him to think I'm out of control on a day like this. Zeatin's cheeks reddened. Mississippi Rosanna answered softly, I'm fine now, so you don't need to keep holding my hand, though I don't dislike it. Rosanna released him. I know. What I mean is, you were distracted because I looked too beautiful. She glanced back with a smile. Confidence shone in her blue eyes. Even I was startled when I looked in the mirror. I was that beautiful. So I guess there would be people, like you, Grand Duke, who would stare blankly at me. Or come bother me. But if we stay like this, that won't happen, right? Rosanna took Zeadin's hand again. His cheeks were faintly red, his gaze a little evasive. He smiled. Then don't let go today. Hold tight. Rosanna's smile was confident and composed, as if she saw through everything. It was utterly different from the confused person in his memories. When demons tempt mortals, do they smile like this too? Zeadin swallowed. All right, they walked side by side toward the dazzling golden doors, their silhouettes bathed in light. If this is the kind of demon she is, then I would gladly be seduced. Rosanna halted for a step. But the ballroom was already buzzing with voices. Noble women whispered among themselves, their eyes sharp as needles. That dress, like Rosanna's. Brina pointed at Rosanna and shrieked, you traitor. Why are you wearing that? Oh, so she was the one who stole it. Miss Petringa, you're wearing quite an artistic gown, though I'm not sure whether you understand that. Brina trembled. I know. She clutched the pale fabric of her skirt so hard her knuckles turned white. Rosanna's voice turned cold. No, you couldn't possibly understand. Brina's breathing caught, as though an invisible hand had closed around her throat. Rosanna looked down at her, her eyes without warmth. This gown was designed especially for me by my designer. A hint of smugness touched Rosanna's face. I am grateful. Thanks to you, I ended up with a truly splendid gown. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Isn't that Miss Petringa's dress? That young lady is really going to become the star of the heavens. I've never seen such a design before. And those are fairy earrings. Rosanna looked a little helpless. Geniuses really are troublesome. At the fitting, it had clearly looked like an ordinary gown. Shulio gestured excitedly. This is the result of attending countless noble parties. Though it may not have the artistic value of my previous works, clothing also serves a social function, and the result turned out rather good. What do you think? Rosanna touched her forehead lightly. Beautiful. Too beautiful. That's the problem. I thought Brina would draw attention by dressing extravagantly. I didn't expect it to happen like this. Still, teasing her is rather fun. The herald loudly announced the arrival of His Majesty the Emperor. Rosanna's gaze instantly sharpened. A cold glint flashed through her blue eyes. Draped in sable fur, one hand resting on the hilt of his sword, the Emperor slowly descended the steps. His presence was overwhelming. He swept his eyes over the hall and said in a ringing voice, "Thank you all for honoring us with your presence today." Rosanna's pupils shrank sharply. What was that? The royal sword, a family heirloom that legitimized imperial authority, had long been kept deep within the imperial treasury. Rosanna's body swayed, and a pained groan escaped her lips. Zeadin immediately caught her. My lady, what is it? What was this nauseating sensation? Rosanna's pupils widened in terror, cold sweat sliding down her cheek. She jerked her head up, blue light bursting from her eyes. A twisted smile spread across the Emperor's face. This will be a very interesting ball. Enjoy yourselves. The Emperor's voice echoed through the hall. Please, all of you enjoy yourselves. I too shall watch over you in the best of spirits. Rosanna's eyes darkened. I know that expression all too well. It was the smile of someone convinced he bore divine favor, of someone who believed everything would go his way. He didn't recognize me. Why? Why exactly? Rosanna's gaze pierced through the crowd and fixed itself on the Emperor. Why was he smiling like that? He should have been crying. He should have looked haggard, like an ordinary man turned to dust after losing his hero. Only then would it make sense that he imprisoned me for hundreds of years. If he could remain so perfectly fine, if he could go on living as though nothing had happened after I disappeared, then why did he slaughter those innocent children using the excuse that he was searching for me? Why? Zeadin noticed something was wrong with Rosanna and steadied her swaying body. My lady, Zeadin asked with concern, are you all right? You look very pale. Rosanna forced out a smile. I'm just a little nervous, Zeadin suggested. Shall I bring you some water? Or would you prefer juice? Rosanna let out a soft laugh, leaving Zeadin looking confused. She lifted her eyes, a faint glow flickering within them. At a banquet, wine is more fitting than water. Grand Duke Zeadin paused for a moment. Ah, you're right. He turned toward the crowd. I'll be right back. Please wait here. Rosanna watched him go. All right. Rosanna let out a quiet sigh. Thanks to Zeadin, her mood had improved a little, but the anger inside her would not subside. Someday I'll snap his neck and make him shed tears of blood and regret. I swear it. Suddenly, the Emperor spoke. Wait. The aide standing beside Jarrell halted. Yes, your majesty? Is something the matter? The Emperor frowned deeply. I sense a strange presence. Narrowing his eyes, he continued. It feels like when that thing would occasionally glare at me in rage. In this hall, there is someone looking at me with the same eyes as that one. Miss Leylating, Rosanna suddenly came to herself and lifted a hand to her forehead. Ah, the Crown Prince's voice carried a note of amusement. You've dressed very carefully today. It suits you. You've been looking at me rather intently. Is there something you wish to say? Oh, right. He was the Crown Prince. So, of course, he was seated beside the Emperor. I hadn't noticed him at all. His presence was so weak. Still, he had, at a crucial moment, blocked the Emperor's line of sight. But getting involved with this man could only bring trouble. Rosanna waved a hand. Forget it. Go back to your seat. What? The Crown Prince called after her. Miss Leylating, where are you going? Didn't you have something to say to me? Rosanna stopped, her back still turned to him. I have nothing to say. The Crown Prince persisted. You were clearly looking at me the whole time. Rosanna denied it coldly. No, absolutely not. That is a lie. I know everything. From the moment you entered the ballroom, my eyes followed only you. Rosanna's whole body stiffened. What? He only watched me? Why? The Crown Prince's cheeks reddened slightly as his fingertips brushed the corner of his eye. Must I really say it aloud? Has he already noticed something and sent the Crown Prince to test me? Rosanna clenched her fist. If that were true, he might try to lure me somewhere secluded. Smiling, the Crown Prince said, Next time, I hope to be your dance partner, Miss Leylating. Rosanna's pupils contracted. What? The Crown Prince covered half his face with one hand, his smile deepening. That is what you wanted to ask me, isn't it? To be honest, I wanted to be your partner at this ball as well, but since this is a banquet hosted by the Imperial family, I could not have my wish. This man represents the future of the Empire. Just thinking about it made her feel the whole country might as well be destroyed. The Crown Prince went on. Even so, Grand Duke Zeadin was not a good choice. At an Imperial banquet, choosing someone His Majesty dislikes is hardly wise. Rosanna replied coolly, I don't believe that has anything to do with your highness. The Crown Prince defended himself. I am only concerned for your reputation. A mocking smile curled at Rosanna's lips. Only concerned for my reputation, not for your own, your highness. Her words struck him, and his heartbeat faltered. What was wrong with him today? Just then, Zeadin returned carrying glasses of wine. I'm back, my lady. The Grand Duke held one out to Rosanna. Champagne. Rosanna accepted the glass and murmured an apology. Zeadin asked with concern, Do you feel any better? If it's too much, tell me. We can leave at once. Rosanna gave a slight shake of her head. Thanks to you, I'm much better now. Grand Duke Zeadin let out a breath of relief. That's good. But, Crown Prince, why are you standing here? Your place should be at His Majesty's side. The Crown Prince stepped forward. His Majesty has already permitted it. What right do you have to interfere? I am speaking with this lady. I would ask that you step aside. Zeadin did not yield. His smile remained gentle but firm. This lady is my dance partner. The one who should leave is not me, but but you. The Crown Prince answered in a calm, steady voice. You should know that the host of the banquet has the right to the first dance. I came here precisely to invite this lady. Zeadin gave a cold laugh. Even so, asking a lady to dance before she has finished dancing with her escort is discourteous. Do you not even know that basic etiquette? The Crown Prince refused to back down. With his majesty present, how dare you be so insolent? Zeatin's gaze sharpened. Crown Prince, do you really think your position is secure? Rosanna raised her glass and took a sip. This champagne was rather good. Then the Emperor's voice rang out. It seems everyone is having a wonderful time. It is time to choose the highlight of tonight's banquet. The Emperor looked around the hall. You are all waiting for it with bated breath, aren't you? Wanting to know whom he would choose this year. The crowd murmured among themselves. His Majesty must have heard the rumors too. I wonder who he'll pick. The most beautiful is obviously Miss Leylading. But Miss Brina has been chosen Star of the Sky for years in a row. And there are even rumors that she's engaged to the Crown Prince. Who would become this year's Star of the Sky? Rosanna pressed a hand to her forehead. What did they get here? How did things turn out like this? I was trying so hard to avoid him, yet he came to me himself, and even spoke with Jarell about something. The selection of the Star of the Sky should have nothing to do with magic. The Emperor rested a hand on Jarell's shoulder. I have a bad feeling about this. The Emperor's voice echoed through the hall. Then, without further delay, I announced that this year's Star of the Sky is... Brina's face flushed crimson. She waited anxiously for the result. Rosanna, Leylading. The Emperor's words fell, and the entire hall went dead silent. Brina stared in shock. Impossible. What? Rosanna frowned. I knew he was plotting something. Maybe I was being too sensitive. Then a scream ripped through the silence, and the ballroom was instantly swallowed by flames. Fire shot toward the ceiling. Fire! It's on fire! Cries rose one after another as the crowd descended into chaos. In a sea of flames, the Emperor threw back his head and laughed wildly. Fiery tongues licked at his crown, illuminating his twisted face.